Okay, okay. Welcome everybody. We are going live. You have no idea what it took for us to get here. We love y'all because we're trying to get here. I'm going through a new system. Well, it's not a new system. It was a system I've been using for a while because when I want to do something a little more complicated to tie in like our Pro Tools sessions, tie in a bunch of stuff, a lot of different people, and all of y'all, I had to go through another system because I'm also planning on streaming it out to a content delivery network. Well, I mean, you don't need to know all that, but I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a backstory to let you know why it was so hard. My computer just, I brought it to its knees. It just is like no more, rebelled, started shutting down. These guys that are joining us, the trainers that you have that are going to be teaching you stuff on the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp, they've all been waiting here patiently. In the meantime, I logged in and they had changed the system. And so for whatever reason, I'm on and talking and everything, and I'm seeing nobody was here. So now I logged off, came back on, restarted everything, I'm back on. So long story short, we're here. We're finally underway. It is crazy, y'all, but that's what was the point of doing this pre-training to not just introduce you to what's going to go on the boot camp, but also to try to bring the system to its knees and see what the sticking points are and all that. And boy, did we do it! Started out right away like that. So my name is Khaliq Glover, also known as Khaliq-O-Vision, with green earbuds, and I'm coming on here. I want to give you guys some great training today and a glimpse at what is going to happen at the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp. It is starting next month on December 7th. Sunday, December 7th, and that's partially why I wanted to do this, is not only to kind of introduce everybody, but I want to push the envelope and see, with me trying to run a bunch of different things into this streaming session, what's going to make it break. And so I'm getting a good idea that this is going to be more than a notion. You know, when we do these hangouts, it's usually we're just kind of talking and stuff like that. Occasionally we'll pipe some stuff into the hangout, and that doesn't really stress it too bad. But for some of the other stuff that I have set up for you guys, and I'm going to be doing all kinds of streaming stuff, multiple people coming in at one time, I need something a little more robust than just Google Hangouts by themselves. You know, you can see the video quality and the audio quality and all that are not going to be the best, so I wanted to be a better experience. But I'm doing this through the Hangouts just so that we can kind of get our feet wet. So anyway, I want to welcome you here, and I want to welcome Bill and Dave and some of the other guys here. Thank you for bearing with me and you know, helping me get through this. I wasn't even sure you guys were on because I was on a whole nother hangout. I guess I was steadily talking away. Can anybody hear me? And not seeing any viewers and not seeing any of y'all. And so I just logged out and came back in, used the same process, but it brought me back into here right now. Okay. So anyway, I'm so glad that you guys are here. Kenny, welcome. I appreciate you here. Joseph as well. And Dave, do me a favor. Unmute yourself, Dave, and I want to talk to you for a hot second, just to kind of see. Hey, man, okay. So first of all, thank you for your patience. So did you get on here right away? And what you were saying you were having some issues.
Yeah,
Tell me what happened.
As soon as I logged on, I was directed to a page that, first of all, I put it on my calendar when I got the notification. Then that didn't come up. So then I was talking to Bill, and I said, you know what, let me just go over and see what's up. We repeated the process, and I took the unique identifier out, put it in the browser, brought it up, and the minute it came up, it went into this stall where it was just constantly reloading and
Really?
flashing this message going, as soon as you pick up as the host and moderator or whatever, that we would be switched over. And that took probably
That was the wrong link then. You must
yeah,
have
it
been
took
using
probably about 5 minutes, and I was just on here, and then all of a sudden it clicked over to the page I just inactive with to get on. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch it. It just clicked over. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
whatever was happening corrected itself.
Yeah,
got
that's probably once I solved the problem then. But so did you use the administrator link that I
yes,
sent you?
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
cool,
You
cool.
did. You could administrate a link that you sent. So
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I just want to know because I didn't even notice. This is a system that I was using previously when I was doing some of my other um, bigger trainings and all that, and they changed the process for security reasons, and so
well,
yeah, it's kind of new.
it's a secret.
It definitely is. Yeah, yeah.
It works because don't nobody know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, yeah. I sure didn't even know at first, so I got it now. But we're on here. Okay, so that's good. And I'm seeing you guys out there in the web land. You guys are seeing us now, so good. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna put on a couple of things here because that frazzled me. So I was going to show you guys a couple of things. So first of all, let me before I actually switch over, let me explain a couple of things that I want to do, and I'm going to mute you guys out so that we have a nice clean recording here. Um, and what today is going to be is going to be kind of an overview and tutorial on a few things. I'm going to give you some insights into the previous music mixing success boot camps that we've had. We've had some great training and great people come on. Grammy and multiple award-winning engineers and producers, et cetera, that were sharing some things. So I figured the best way, because the biggest question I've been getting is Khaliq, exactly what is the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp? When I explain that it's a live event and everything, they're not really sure what does that mean, or we going to be learning? Is it going to be just kind of like where you're just talking about a bunch of different things, or like an interview and you're just kind of talking in general and we sit back and just watch? Or is it going to be, some specific stuff like that, where you're going to show us what you do and how to mix a song, or how to, all that, because it's a boot camp. A boot camp means that you're going to get in and be doing some work too. So that's part of why I had if you didn't get the downloads, go to musicmixingsuccess.com/2014/resources and download the different handouts that I have for you. I've got some PDFs. I've got the schedule that's coming up, some places where you can take notes, and other things, little cheat sheet kind of things. And even I have a video in there that has a couple of things you can look at about how to and when to think about processing some stuff, to give you it as kind of a little bonus and everything. When we go into the boot camp, it's going to be a lot of different trainings about a lot of things like that, where we're going to go deeper. Though that's kind of like, a quick overview to take you through some stuff. But at the actual boot camp, myself and others are going to be digging onto some exact processes that you can use to help you up your game and lift the envelope, or open the envelope, or whatever, lift the bar. And we're going to go ahead and share a lot of stuff, but today is going to, we can't do everything. We've got to save it for the boot camp, but I didn't want you to have to wait to kind of get an understanding of what's going to happen. I have a couple of things here, like, for example, I have this is the DVD, one of, where's the other one? Okay, I set it down. I think I put it in, it's in the thing. But this was a two-set because we had 2 days on the first event. And day one and day two, each day we went into a lot of different things, and a lot of different presenters showed you different aspects. In fact, Dave was on here on that first event, and had a great presentation to show people about how to think about converting their rooms that start out in your own personal space and building it out, without having to be a professional acoustician or having to spend tons and tons of money. You have to spend a little bit because it's an investment in yourself. But he shared a lot of different things that would show you how to do that, and also talked about, like, he has his ref tone speakers that are excellent, that we all use for checking when we're mixing or even when we're recording, they reveal a lot of things in that all-important mid-range area that is really where everything basically lives. Everything has to go through there. If you've got better systems, you might have low lows and super high highs and everything. But if you just have the ordinary system that most people have, you have to be sure that your mid-range is absolutely covered properly, and the things that live there and should dominate are dominating in the right way without overkilling you. You know, all the spaces are filled in properly and cleanly. So Dave talked a little bit about how his ref tones help you identify that in concert with using things like, you know, I have some pretty decent sized monitors here, and as kind of my, they're not near fields, they're more like midfield type monitors, you know, then using near field monitors, using things like the different headphones. You know, I have several different pairs so that I use. I like these Sennheiser HD 650s because these are really great, and you can use them like even for mastering quality stuff to be very accurate. But then I also have my Monster Beats headphones because that's real world listening. And to get a balance between all of those things, it helps me know that if I'm doing it and it translates through all the different things, it's going to expose different areas and you can cover it. So that's where the ref tones come in handy. We had, you know, like one of my original mentors was Reggie Dozier. He was on the second boot camp, actually. Reggie is the brother of Lamont Dozier, who is part of the Holland Dozier Holland songwriting and production team from Motown, you know, so another legend, and Reggie was right there to see all these legends and work with a lot of the Motown legends. Tommy Vicari, he's guy was one of my main mentors and worked with me on numerous things coming up through my career, and I worked with him. We batted back and forth on different things, but he's always, even to this day, you know, we talk about different things and get advice from each other on things. You know, I mean, as far as an engineer, you know, he's a multi-Grammy winner, and he's also like he's the guy that does the Academy Awards every year, if that tells you anything about his level of expertise. The Academy Awards, the Oscars, are probably, if not one of the very biggest, you know, if it's not the biggest, it's definitely one of the very biggest occurrences in any year that comes up. You know, that's one of the things that worldwide people look for, and he's the guy that is in charge of making it all come off as a great experience. So this cat ain't no joke. Anyway, I say all that to say this is the level of people that we have. But for this year, you know, because I usually do it at a hotel ballroom, you know, and we do all the sit-ups. So what I'll do is I'm going to play some of these videos off of this DVD to kind of give you an idea of what we do there in the live environment. But this year I wanted to do it in a virtual environment to allow more people to participate all over the world, so you don't have to buy a plane ticket, you don't have to get hotel rooms and all that. All you have to do is download a few materials and show up ready to take some notes, you know. Make sure you have, you know, something like a pen and pencil, whatever, and some good old paper. We're going analog, we're mixing analog and digital here. And if you make sure you do all these things, you'll be okay with getting a lot of knowledge, and I think we'll reach a lot more people this year if I can make sure that the experience is right. So this is why we're doing the pre-training today. So with that being said, too, what I want to do is I'm going to switch over to a couple of things. And actually, you know what, before I do that, I want to go to Joseph. Joseph, because let me explain one last thing before I actually switch over to Joseph. This year I wanted to do something a little bit different as well. Rather than just having all award-winning engineers and artists or producers or whatever, I wanted to have some people that do award-winning quality stuff because they teach it on whether they've already got the award or not. See, this is one of those things where I think, you know, the rewards are coming, the awards are coming for a lot of these people that I see. A guy I highly respect on here is Bill Kamek, for example, because Bill is like serious. He reminds me of myself and Dave and a lot of other people we've known as far as the mentality that you have to have. It's not so much about the stuff that you know, it's what you do, you know, the passion that you approach it. And he has that, you know, so he has an award in a whole nother industry, but it's a mindset thing. Like I tell you guys, it's what you do in your everyday walk. So it doesn't matter whether you decide to be an engineer or a musician or a producer or an artist or something like that. Your mindset has to be right, and then you'll be okay in all these things. So that's going to be a big part of what I do. Um, I'll show you a few things that we do on, you know, techniques and using plugins and stuff like that. That's not the important stuff, to be honest with you. There's so much stuff like that, you know. There's, you know, and I'll be giving you some a couple crucial websites for you to go to where you'll find all the solutions that you need. I think it's the best resource and everything, and you know, we'll get you a lot of different places to look at the right things like that. But more importantly, look at these people that you've got on here. You know, everybody has a mindset to really do it at a high level. And more than anything, what I want you to do is be able to, when you leave from here, if you haven't done it already, but you probably already have because you are here, you're taking action. If you haven't done it already, I want you to have that mindset of a beast. You know, when you approach it, you got to go in and just be ready to gobble up stuff, take command of your career, and just point yourself in the right direction and make sure you get what you have. Whether if you got to, you know, when me and Dave were coming up, there was times when we didn't have money to get some of the gear we wanted because everything was hardware and nothing cost less than $2,000 or $1,500, you know. So if we wanted to get one piece of gear, we had to come up with plans to get that 1,500, 2,000 or whatever to get one piece of gear. But like I said, that's the mindset of the beast, and I want you to get it. You know, we got that because we didn't know how. Don't worry about the how. The how will make itself apparent to you if you start on the movement. Big part of it. So this boot camp, what is going to be good about that is we're going to dig deep into building you up on that, you know. And one of the other things I want to do is show you, like, help you tackle some of the biggest problems. So I know I regularly get questions about, first of all, mixing is one of the biggies, but within mixing, and it also goes to recording, is how to use compressors and everything. You know, in fact, I came out with a course, and it was a webinar where I did it for over 3 weeks, in 3 different weeks. It was called Crush It with Compressors. And I'll be reintroducing some stuff from that course and everything because I'm going to be restarting that course soon. But I'm going to give you some of the concepts that I did in that course in particular that help you deal with compressors. Because one of the biggest things, like for example with compression, and I know it, and probably any engineer that you talk to is going to say one of the biggest things is, how do I hear compression? You know, I think I'm hearing it, but I'm not really sure what I'm hearing, you know. And I'm going to show you some fast track ways to get there, some ways to push the envelope so that you can go to extremes to hear what it is and then recognize it when it happens in its subtleties. It's amazing because when I first started, you know, compression was one of those things where I put it on because I knew how you were supposed to do it, and I just turned it up, so I thought I was hearing something that was working. And quite frankly, what I've learned over the years now is really whatever I was doing then that I could hear it was probably totally wrong. You know, you've been lied to on a lot of these things because, you know, everybody makes you think that it's so easy to just simply go in and put on all these preset things, you know, 4 to 1, put it on vocals, and, you know, threshold, do this, make it dip, you know, minus whatever, 6 dB, whatever, and you're covered and everything. But the reality of it is that all of those things are generalities that are snapshot based. They're only made for the time that it's happening right at that moment, for the material that's happening right at that moment, for what that material is surrounded with right at that moment, what sonic and frequency space each thing lives in, so where your thing that you're compressing, where it needs to live, and how it's sandwiched around other stuff. All of that stuff is so dynamic that, you know, and the biggest thing is it makes you think that it's supposed to be that way every time, and it's not. In fact, it almost never is. Now, presets, for example, are very good to start with and to learn stuff. The bottom line is you know, you always got to tweak from a point of departure to make it work. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't know. I constantly keep getting emails from people with that same thing, you know, thinking that there's this magic bullet setting that you can get that makes it happen. So the best way I can serve you is show you my thought processes in a few songs and stuff like that that we're going to stream through the boot camp and make you see just what I'm seeing in your mind's eye and ear. You know, I visualize it. I use a process, you know, for my training. It's called the Vision system of training, because Vision is an acronym that I created. It stands for Visually Integrated Sound inside an organized nucleus. So I'm going to get you to visually kind of conceptualize what it is you're trying to do, but I'm going to do it within an organized nucleus so that you can be able to carry it with you. And you'll be able to carry these techniques to just hearing anything. It's like right now, you know, you guys can probably hear it. I mean, I'm not hearing it coming back through here because I'm on a whole nother thing now. But when I'm talking to you guys, for example, on the Hangouts, you know, I've got a little microphone sitting over here just to pick up the Hangouts. It's a shotgun mic I have. You know, I could have worn a lavalier, or I could have got you know, one of the broadcast mics, an RE20 I could grab, or the SM7B, and put it in and try to be like the broadcaster and all that. But see, some of these things, you know, I just have that set up because I have an air conditioner that's going on in my little personal room here, you know. And it's not a quiet air, as you can hear, so you can probably hear the blasting. So you can probably hear that I've got compression going on my voice just to pick up this thing, but I also have a little noise gate to mute it down when I stop talking. Check it out. You know, when I talk again, you can hear all that come up and everything. But it's so funny, you know, with the compressor on there and everything. And you know, I'm not tripping on it because I'm not making a record right now, so I'm not tripping. But I would have to, if I wanted to record something in this room, I'd have to know all the principles of all these little things that are going on in the environment that I have now. And you have no idea how many things that I've heard when people send it in. I'd be like, what is that? You know, then I know exactly what it is because I can recognize it in my little room here. There's just an upstairs room that I set up for you guys to do hangouts. I set up for me to test things and check things and all that, you know. So if you want to do anything with some critical listening, there's a lot of noise to overcome. Those are the things that we cover in the boot camp, where you will be able to identify some of this stuff, you know. Okay, so the main thing is I want you to be able to get results, you know, when you go from, first of all, even today. So today I'll be letting you do a couple of things. Like I said, I'm going to play this DVD into this Hangout so you can kind of see what we did at the last boot camp, see kind of how it moved on and some of the valuable information. The bottom line is when you get done, you're going to be able to use some stuff to take you to the next thing. Now, let me tell you, first of all, what it is not, you know, because it's not my intention to give you something that you've never seen before. Quite frankly, there's more information out here than there's ever been. You have a lot more information than I ever had starting out, or me or Dave or whatever. You guys probably have known and seen and run across stuff that, you know, you're teaching me stuff all the time and filling me in because nobody can keep up with it. So it's not going to be something where I'm going to suddenly give you this brand new magic bullet that you've never heard of and seen. I mean, that gets harder and harder all the time. But what it is that what you know now, it'll become clearer, all the things that aren't filled in with what you do know. You know, the more I found out that I feel that I know, I find out more. It's like, wow, there's a whole lot more that you don't know. And all the guys that have had any breakthroughs, usually they come to that revelation, you know. So I'm going to show you basically how to think and keep opening up more things to keep filling up your toolkit, but it keeps opening up like this thing where you know, you're in Wonderland and just discovering new things all the time, you know. But there's not going to be no one magic bullet that's suddenly going to make everything go away. I'm going to open up your mind so that you can find solutions, because you'll right away visually start thinking, oh, okay, I want to do this. Here's how it starts coming together. Because that's what I do when I hear something, when I was working on a lot of different projects. One of the things that I became known for is a guy that could come in and dig in and come up with unique effects on stuff. Now, I have to say, one of the other lessons that I had to learn was I got caught up in my own little trickeration. So I could come up with effects and stuff. I was a master of an Eventide H3000 and could go in and use their function generator to generate different things. So one thing would modulate something else in other ways, and tie things into multiple ways, kind of like a synthesizer would do. But I get caught up in that and find out that, not everybody wants you to get tricky with this stuff. Some folks just want you to put on some straight stuff and be done, Khaliq. Straight, and so I had to learn that lesson as well. So I'm going to teach you some mindset stuff on that, to how to find, according to the circumstances that you're in, the right way to approach something. How do you identify that? How do you know what kind of a client that you're working with, or what kind of record company that needs to have that special thing that you bring, but not too much? Because you don't want to outshine the artist. You're not the artist. They are the artists. You want to always make them shine and everything, and that's a technique. I really look forward to showing you some little things on that. Now let me ask you a question too, and then I'm going to go over to Joseph. What if? Just think about this. What if you had all the tools from a mindset point of view? Not all the plugins, not all the stuff that you got to go out and buy and have the $10,000 mic and all that. But what if you just had the tools that let you know how to take wherever you are at the moment now with whatever you have, and take it to a whole nother level where you always evoke a positive reaction, because you recognize what positive things needed to be injected or highlighted in there. Would that be helpful to you? Because I know it sure was helpful to me once I realized how to sit back and actually listen to music and find out the key things that were in it that make it irresistible. My book that I wrote is called Hypnotic Music Secrets, and that was one of the things that I loved learning from watching and listening to the conversations. The biggest lesson that I tell you guys about was listening to Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and Quincy Jones when they were rewriting the lyrics to We Are the World in the studio after they had already been pretty much written and done. But they tweaked them right there in front of me, and to hear why they were tweaking certain things and reasonings was it was amazing and enlightening. Then, or watching why Quincy would do something and start out with a synth bass on one thing, and then change it to a live bass, or vice versa, or whatever. Have some of the baddest players come in as musicians and decide that, well, wait, it's too musician-y now. It's taking focus away from what I'm trying to highlight. So, you get some guys on it at the top first called musicians, and they may not end up on a final record. It happens, folks. It's amazing, but it happens. You would think that if somebody calls one of the best musicians in the world, their stuff is going to end up on a record. But a big thing that I learned watching all these guys is that it doesn't matter about that. What is the song speaking to the audience out there? And if that musician is drawing too much attention away from what the focus is, it's going to really become anti-climatic, and it's also just going to not do what you want it to do. It may sound good, it may even feel pretty good because a great musician is going to give you something, but it ain't that magic. And see, that's what these guys, that go to the next level, they know how to inject magic. And it's not from having this certain piece of gear and equipment. So that's going to be one of the biggest value propositions that I can give to you, how to arrive at that. Joseph, do me a favor. Come on, man, and unmute yourself. Put your video on in a second, and I want to talk to you about your role in here as well. I chose you in particular because you've been participating on these Hangouts, and you've demonstrated that you've been doing homework, you've been learning, and you let us hear some stuff. So I know you're doing stuff at a high level, but you're still finding your journey as well. But tell me what you want to bring to others that you think will be helpful, because I think it's very important, because a lot of people are, are going on that same journey like you are.
Well, thank you, Khaliq. Uh, is my mic turned up enough, guys?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Um, Mindset is such an important thing, and that leads into how you hear what you're listening to in any individual song, and I really appreciate that from you, because you've got a good knack at pointing out things that are extremely important that have a tendency to fly by some of us less experienced guys. What I wanted to share today, I'd like to, if you don't mind, save the final production for December. But I have a picture here I'd like to show, and a couple minutes of kind of mind expansion.
Great.
I have a way of looking at things, and one of the things that I see, kind of like that movie, I see dead people. I
Yeah.
see, I see EQ everywhere. I just do. It's something that I don't know really where and when it happened, but at one time I kind of started recognizing that, when my couch was moved from, one wall to a different wall, the television sounded different. Angling the TV different, especially when it was put in a corner one time when we were doing a little bit of rearranging in our little area that my wife and I hang out in. Um, and I noticed a lot of little things that I probably would never have noticed if I wasn't so involved with trying to help somebody create a great song. So with that said, I'd like to start a little thing about just a few comments about EQ and some of the things that can affect us, and they're really small, but they can affect us in a big way.
Great,
So I'm
man.
going to try to share a picture, and I know how to do that.
Do you have it?
And
You okay?
yep, start.
We got it.
Okay,
I
you're at.
like it.
Do you see the whole thing there?
Got the robot there. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I see EQ everywhere. A resonant frequency. We've talked about resonation and resonant frequencies, and I'd like to point out a little bit of a difference. Let's take the note A. That's 440 hertz. We tune to that A if we're guitar players. If we're in a band of any type, orchestral, we tune to 440 hertz A. Now, if you were to look at your little scope, and you were to play a sine wave at 440 hertz, you'd see a straight line at 440 hertz. It'd be as tall as you turn the volume up. If you hit the 440 hertz on the piano, if you hit the low A, you would see a completely different EQ curve. You would see a big peak right at that same 440. You'd see another peak at double that frequency at 880, and then double that frequency at 1620, and so on, or 1760, I'm sorry, and so on. And then in between there, you'd see like these little subharmonics. That's kind of where the fifth resides. And you've heard that the fifth of a chord. All right. So this little picture you see here is the human body, kind of a mock-up. The human body actually resonates. I mean, right down to the teeth, but I didn't want to go that far with you guys. The human body resonates, and one specific area that I think is really neat to look at, you look at the chest wall, 50 to 100 hertz. And you wonder, you hear a lot of guys say, well, I don't really hear the bass. I don't listen so much. I feel it. I adjust the bass until I feel it. And I don't want to steal anything from Bassy Bob, but I heard him say the exact same thing. He's well known for his bass management, and I'm sure he's hearing it in in a special way that only Basie Bob can hear. But it hits you, yeah, it hits you in the chest, and you feel it there. And I don't think that is a surprise to see that the chest wall resonates at 50 to 100 hertz. Going back to that, that letter A, you got at 110 hertz. That's still an A note. That's part of a kick drum. You go down to 55 hertz, that could be part of your kick drum. And of course, where bass guitars take up that whole, and that's where you're going to feel them. Now, if your head is bigger, you might have a more resonance up there between 20 and 30 hertz. I'm not sure. Okay, but my main focus was that the head, the chest wall there. Here now, there's resonance can play tricks on us. A pipe organist, for example, if they needed to hit a really low frequency, say that low A, and they don't have that frequency on their pipe organ, now this you'll hear in churches a lot, right? They'll actually play the lowest A note that they have, and then they'll hit the pedals, the foot pedals. They'll actually play 2/5, push two pedals down that are a fifth of that octave. And that'll make the human ear think they're actually hearing something lower than what they're really hearing. And it will simulate that. Now, frequencies, we're looking at that resonance, okay? And I want to kind of really separate natural frequency and resonant frequency. The resonance is that frequency that let's take a gong, for example. You spank a gong with a mallet, boing, and you hear the resonant frequency of that gong. The bigger the gong, the lower the frequency. Now, the natural frequency is something that I don't think concerns us so much, because it's more on an atomic level. It gets into the vibration and rotation of molecules that are making up the object that you're striking. Now, that generally doesn't come into play with the work that we do. We're more concerned with that resonating frequency. Example, monitor isolation. Orlex came out with, that I remember, at least in my memory, the first, the Mopads. Buy Mopads, you won't believe it. Isolate your, monitors from your desk. And that's a fantastic thing, because if we isolate our monitors from our desks, then we take out that resonant frequency that our desk could make that might interfere with something that we would want to be hearing. Now, that leads us into that sympathetic resonance. For the best example I can explain with that is a tuning fork. If you have a tuning fork at 440 hertz and you hit it, and then you take another tuning fork, 440 hertz tuning fork, and you put it next to that one, it'll start vibrating. Why does it do that? Well, the air is actually vibrating. And when the air vibrates, it'll cause the sympathetic vibration of that second tuning fork. Now, what is in my mixing space? Does that vibrate in sympathy with what's coming out of the speakers? It certainly does. It vibrates at the whole scope of frequencies. We have treatment for that, and most of us use it. Another example of that sympathetic resonance, now this is a specific example that could get in the way of miking a piano. If you, for example, were to hit the middle C on a piano, and you hit it kind of hard, but you don't depress that middle pedal. So that middle pedal it dampens the low strings. And if that middle pedal doesn't get depressed, then all those low strings are going to start vibrating sympathetically with that letter. Okay, now if you're going to be miking that piano, you might want to be aware of that, because you're going to pick up a lot of low-end rumble in a microphone that might be on that side of the piano. Now the higher strings, they'll do the same thing, but it's so much less that I don't see it as much of a concern. This will bring me to the last little thing that I'd like to touch on that really affects recording in our lives: the resonant frequency of a microphone. Now, we hear this term mud. There's mud in the recording, so we got to clean up the mud in the low end. so we can hear it, so it's got detail. We want to hear the spank on a snare. Every microphone that we use has a certain resonance. It depends if the microphone body's brass or aluminum or steel, how much plastic's on it. It all adds up to a certain frequency. And it just so happens that a lot of affordable microphones that we use resonate in that 220 hertz and 300 hertz, 400 hertz. And that's where a lot of us would agree that the mud resides. So when we close mic something, we vibrate the microphone more. We also have something called the proximity effect, which you're all aware of. The closer you get to the microphone, the deeper the frequency it'll capture. Taking that into account and knowing that if I have a resonance in my microphone and I'm trying to record or capture something and I'm experiencing a lot of what we'll call mud, I can move that microphone a little bit away, 2 inches, 3 inches, 10 inches, and it will change the amount of mud that gets captured. Thank you very much for my little spiel, and I'm going to try to figure out how to make that human body go. Give me a second. Screen share.
There you go. You got it.
Excellent. Fantastic. All
Hey,
right.
man.
Thank you very much. I'll save the, I'm going to save the cool videos for a later time.
That's really cool, man. I actually I love that, and I look forward to it because now first of all, man, you got to share that little robot with us. Either tell us where to download it or put it somewhere we can get it. I love that, man. You know.
Okay, I certainly will.
Yeah, and I look forward to your presentation. See, that's what I'm talking about. You know, this boot camp and the reason why I wanted to do it differently this time is like, see people like yourself and something like that, man, that is just it's so cool. It's so different and outside the box. I mean, that while you were doing that, it just opened up my mind because you guys, everybody that's watching us, like I said, a lot of people hit me with wanting this one magic thing, you know, what's the magic frequency, basically, is what I get asked, you know, and it's like little stuff like that just shows you that it really goes through all of us and everything that's around us. And you've got to listen accordingly and depending on what else is surrounded. But when you learn the concepts, and the reason why I like that one so much because that's a visual concept, like just like I love to teach. So visually, I get it. When you were explaining all that stuff, my mind went right there, seeing the frequency, seeing how they tie in, remembering how I felt when or how I feel when I'm trying to get a kick drum to actually just speak the right way. And there's certain parts that it gets to you, and especially in a man, because a man really feels in a lot of different places, you know, starting, you know, in our groin area and feet and chest and a lot of things in the head area. They all work in different ways for different parts of it and the harmonics and things like that. So I love the way you did that, and it's a very unique way. You're getting a lot of comments too. I think you excited everybody. Everybody's saying an innovative concept in the way you approached it, man. It's really my hat's off to you. I can't wait for that one. So you gave us just enough of a teaser for us to look forward to the main event and see you go deep and see the videos that you have for us and everything, man. Excellent job, buddy. I really appreciate it. I knew you could do it, though. That's why I asked.
Thank you very much, Khaliq. I really appreciate that. And thanks for all the comments, guys.
Oh yeah, man. Well, that's going to be really cool, man. You know, in fact, we should probably collaborate and put our heads together to, by the time you do your event, to maybe even make some additional handouts for some people. You know, I'll be willing to help you do that as well. That can help you enhance your presentation if you want. You know, you may have already done it, but if if you think there's something else or you want us
Okay,
to,
you know, I that's really good, Khaliq. I didn't think of that.
yeah.
I really didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you think that would be a good idea, I'll definitely make copies of a few things, and make them available.
That'd be cool, cool. What'd you think about that, guys? That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
And that was great. That was great. I think the robot is an excellent demonstration tool because it gets people away from self, right?
Yeah.
So when you can look at a robot, you can just see the things and concepts of frequency and just everything that's going on, the science of it. You take yourself out of it, so you stop thinking about what you know and trying to be right and all that craziness that everybody gets caught up in, and you just deal with the science of it, and I think you have to do that in order to have a good perspective. As you start to learn more, you really got to keep the physics of it in mind and the science of it in mind, because then you don't get excited over hearing every little new development. You'll actually be breaking down concepts when people explain to you new things and go, you know what, that sounds really great. But because you understand that science, even at a robotic level, it really helps. It really helps. I really like that whole thing, that presentation in a way that takes the drama off of it. We're so used to this thing of everybody bringing their personality on parade that we really got to have a way to break down and extract the real, raw, good information. So my hat's off to you, Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And plus, the other thing is like, see, this is something, and this is why I like us all to do it. It reminds us, we can learn all this stuff. There's a ton of stuff out here, but we can actually learn too much. That took me back to my childhood and stuff like that. That took me back to cartoons and everything else. And that's really, I mean, and like Dave and I do it all the time. Like Dave has his little daughter, and we go to her for the truth. Whenever we want to really know some real truth about whatever it is we're thinking and get out of all our learnedness and everything, we go to the little truth barometer. And she's she's 6, Dave?
6.
Yeah. That'll get you right to it, whereas we can learn so much and know so much that we forget to just kind of go back to that simple place where we didn't know anything. We just felt what it is, and it's the truth unvarnished. So I love that, man. That's where you took me back on that one. I can't wait to see the presentation.
I like the robot, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. There's a lot of heart and soul that goes into music, and I would never take any of that away from it. But some of the decisions that we make as mixers and as recording engineers are they're not as big as they can seem to become.
Right.
And sometimes it's just little things. We hear it all the time. It's 100 little moves that make that great mix. People can.
I think the other thing that's pretty dynamic too is the fact that many of the people who are online don't really know what Joseph's background is. But if you know Joseph's background, the other thing that makes it amazing is that he's an expert in robotics. So it would be interesting, for me, I'm always amazed when you can take something from a whole nother field and bring it in and create understanding. And that's a really powerful tool, man. That's a really powerful tool.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone else.
Yeah, very cool, man. And so you guys know, I mean, we got a pretty awesome lineup too. So let me also tell you guys some of the people that said that they will be able to participate. It's always changing because people's schedules change and everything. But like I checked back in first of all. So basically, Bob Brockman is going to be on. He's going to make a presentation for us within here. And Bob, he's a natural. He's a natural teacher as well as being a natural great engineer and everything, and it's broken through. But the thing is he really knows how to explain concepts and pass it on. So I'm glad when I talked to him that he said that he's still definitely down to be part of this boot camp, And then we've got I'm still working on Leslie Braithwaite through Jason, but Jason itself is going to be on there. Bill Kamek is going to be on here. Then we've got my boy Daryl Duncan's going to come on. Daryl is coming on from a different point of view because Daryl, I met him when he was working at a publishing company and being a top producer of a lot of artists and stuff like that. But then he started branching off into doing sound and music and stuff like that, background music for video games. And he ended up coming up with a wonderful company that pretty much just took over things over by storm, completely changed his life to where he's doing way better at that side than the music industry ever did. So I want to give you a different look at, there's a lot of different ways to use your skills to get out there. You know, Daryl is mainly a musician and producer and songwriter and stuff like that, but he also knows some engineering and stuff like that. So you're kind of going to get it all. And as well, he's a true businessman as well. So these are some things that I want to bring in and bring to the table for us on this boot camp. You know, then we got some other people in our community. So we got Maat's going to come in here, and with his crew and everybody, they're all going to contribute, because, like I said, rather than it just being myself and other people that have gone and done whatever it is we've done over our career, we also know that we just went through the path. So a lot of you are on that same path now, and I think it's valuable because the path has changed as far as the fruit that you can pick while you're walking down the path. It's lined very well now. It's kind of barren, bare trees and bushes when we were walking along, and we also had to chop down the brush with our machetes to get through. Well, the path has already been cleared away and everything. Some folks cleared it a little bit for us, but there was still a little brush that we had to chop down. Now there's still a little bit, but it's a lot better now. It's a lot more paved these days, and so this is why I want to have some of the people that are coming up after us show and share some of the things, because I learn about new resources all the time from a guy like Bill, who just seems like he's like Waldo. He's everywhere, man. You got to find him. He's finding all these resources out there. He's like, how in the world do you even have time to find it? Do you ever sleep? I'm wondering about it. But then when I think about it, like I said, me and Dave were the same. Everybody's like, man, do you guys ever sleep? It seems like you're always somewhere, always doing something, always in the mix of something. So I love it because that's what's up. These are like-minded people they're doing it. They're doing it. You can trust the stuff that these guys are putting out to you. You guys know, you've been following Maat. He's become an expert at getting some great interviews out here for some people. A lot of top industry level folks that are you normally might not get to run into them. Even me, as long as I've been doing this, and as many people's paths I've crossed, I've met more people this year through just kind of hanging out and joining in on some of his and some of the other people's hangouts and everything, because these are people that I may have run into at NAMM every now and then once a year, but you don't really get a chance to talk with them because everything's too crazy. So it's nice to hang out. It's like we're all just chilling, and we ain't got to get on a plane and buy a plane ticket. So this is another reason why I'm doing this boot camp virtually this year, because I want to expand that whole experience. What I want to do, in fact, I'm gonna go over here. I want to share with you guys real quick just a few seconds of how we started our boot camp last year, so you can kind of get an idea. Let me switch over and let you see what's going on this video actually, and I think. Let me do this real quick. Oh, okay. Oh, I know what happened. I'm on the wrong thing. Give me a second, folks, because I had the wrong thing opened up here. I'll go back to that. Let's close this down. Okay, so now switch over here, and hoping you guys can see it. Tell me, guys, does that look backwards to you? Is the text backwards?
No, it looks good.
Okay, good. It's backwards on my screen. Okay, so I'm just going to play a little bit of this so that you guys can kind of get an idea for those of you that couldn't attend with us live, and you couldn't attend with us live, but Maat was there, and a lot of other people were there. Dave did an excellent presentation, and I want to expand this online and make this an online experience that works out good. So it should be starting up in a second. Let me forward a little bit into this and See where we're at. Oh, we don't have any audio. Okay. Okay, I've got to I forgot to pipe the audio in. Sorry about that, guys. I got so
Got you with
tired.
kind of GQ matching that shirt and everything.
Okay, that was day one.
Back of my head on the right.
Yeah, I saw your head back here. But we had a DJ there. DJ was just playing some stuff, and then we were going through breaking it down and seeing what was happening in hit songs live. Now I guess it's actually good that we can't do it here in the Hangout because the Hangout, Google will slap it and shut it down. They don't play that. Like, no, I don't be playing nobody's stuff up in here. Okay, I just wanted to kind of give you guys because I think I'm actually I've been stressing this system so much, so stuff has been locking up left and right. Hold on. Okay, let me turn it on. Okay, I was playing Titanium. Oh, okay, we had an interview with Herbie was in there. So all of this stuff I got on the DVD of the first event, so I'm just kind of clicking through the DVDs and show you stuff. But Herbie gave some great wisdom in there and shared with us on some stuff. And there goes my boy Dave. He had a great presentation. It was so cool because you got a lot of different looks from a lot of different people on in a lot of different decades of information and everything. So it was really, really cool. I had a great time up there. We even had people coming in playing guitars and stuff like that. Let's see. Can't see the big screen over there, but yeah, Dave had his presentation. Okay, and then we got Ralph here. Ralph came in great. These are some of the people that we worked with at Paisley Park with Prince, and we had great Q&A going on. So you can imagine that we really had a great experience there. So live, I want to see how can we transfer this live into this streaming experience and make this all work. Tying everything in, playing the sessions, playing the music. The other thing that I have to do is use original music this time. We took apart hit songs while we were there, but we can't do that on a Google Hangout, like I said, because Google does not allow it in their terms of service. So, see, you see where I have the split screen here, so I could actually show you in my Pro Tools session. Well, I've got the way to do that actually on when we do this. I actually have that now, so I'll be able to show you just what's going on and what I'm doing as I'm doing it and explain it and break it down. It's going to be very, very cool, very eye-opening to hear in real time what I'm thinking as I'm hearing stuff and even hearing it in a room, Oh, I know what I meant to tell you guys too. I'm going to have Mike Sr. is going to be part of this year as well. Now, if you guys don't know who Mike Sr. is, Mike Sr. is the guy that has all the stuff that people have been able to use on the Cambridge site to download and everything. He did the Mixing Secrets book and stuff like that. He's going to be on there because I love what he's been doing and the service he's been providing. So, we're going to really have a lot of different folks come on here, and the ones that have been very helpful, I want to do that. Let me stop that and go back here real quick to me. Okay, but yeah, it was really cool to do the live event and have the people come in there and see what was going on in real time. So imagine being able to hear what we're doing while we're doing it, in the middle of doing it, and then tackle it at the moment's time, whereas you're not just seeing me put some stuff on, but you're hearing me think while I'm putting it on, think out loud. Normally if I'm in a situation and just kind of mixing by myself, well, it's all going in my head. I don't have to think it out, in out loud and everything, but I'm going to be thinking out loud to explain to you, okay, here's what I'm hearing, here's what's going on with this, and then I'm also going to be asking questions and everything because I want it to be kind of interactive. Like I said, it's not going to be a monologue, it's going to be a dialogue. going to be asking, what do you hear? What do you think should happen next? You got any ideas and stuff like that? And then we can try some stuff and see where it goes wrong, if it starts going wrong. That's what's going to be really cool, because that's how you learn. That's how I learned. I learned from doing stuff and in my head thinking I was doing something right from a concept that I thought of or learned and even tried and seemed like it was going to be right. But over the course of time, I've made a lot more right decisions from learning what was wrong, from doing the wrong thing, and but not knowing it was wrong. When we start out to do something, we think it's right. You don't purposely go on, let me just put some wrong stuff on here and be done with it. You think what you're doing is right. You think you're doing approaching it, but then when you suddenly don't have the results that you want, be like, wait a minute. What happened to my drums? It seemed like they were kicking like they needed to, but now they're just getting lost and swallowed, and I can't make them happen. Every time I push them up, then the other stuff I'm in an endless loop. So when I finally started learning the concepts of how to get out of those loops, because trust me, they don't ever completely go away. We all go through them. We just have to recognize how to get out of them when it starts happening. Mixing is all just a concept. And it's a dynamic concept that happens in real time. The moment we're doing it, the ideas that we're presenting and thinking, it's just in our head, and it sounds perfect up here. It's always perfect. But when you go to do it, you don't always get quite the same result that you had up here. But your mind, body, and soul will know that, okay, it seemed like a good idea in my head, but that ain't quite working right. It ain't feeling right. And the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is pushing through and trying to force fit it. Whereas sometimes if you just disengage, step back, and really connect with the song, So one of the things I want to do too with you guys is like we did it at one of our other previous live events, excuse me, where we did some focusing things to know what the goal is. So some focusing exercises that I think will help you. For example, you got to ask yourself some questions like, what are, say, maybe write down the top 3 goals that you have for mixing the song, and why are they important to you? It's very important to know what the main 3 things are, or the main 2 things that this song needs to accomplish, and why it's important to you. And also, let me tack onto that, why would it be important to the listener? You got to step back and put yourself in their shoes and see what it is. So if you're dealing with somebody who's an amazing singer, but at the same time the song is an amazing dance song, you're going to have to do a battle to decide which one still needs to have the focus. Because just because they're an amazing singer, maybe the dance song aspect of it will be more effective to them and put it in there. Think about, and I used to wonder about this, and I heard them talk about it, like think about if you know of any of Michael Jackson's early hits and everything, some of them, the vocals were loud and in front of your face. Other ones, he's kind of buried in there, and you kind of listen into the music. And what I found out, not just with him, but a few other people, is that's actually an approach depending on what you want to accomplish, the goal that you want to accomplish with the song. Sometimes you want to make people lean in a little bit, listen a little harder, make them strain a little bit to listen to lyrics. Other times you want them loud and proud and in your face, and absolutely no doubt is what's being said. When you listen to Whitney Houston stuff, and like I've told you previously, Clive Davis was definitely known for this. You got to have that Clive vocal thing. It's like the vocals. The vocals are every bit the star, and nothing else should ever compete with it. And for somebody like that, good reason. Doesn't even matter if you've got a song that's like oh, I want to dance with somebody, that whatever that song was that she had, or it has the dance song and everything, but still the bottom line is them vocals was loud and proud and in charge, even though it's a dance song. But then there's other songs where sometimes you want the vocal, even though it's a great vocalist, you still need to tuck them in a little bit to make people lean in to hear the great vocalist. Other times you've got some vocalists that ain't so great that you got to think about, you definitely got to bury them in and let the music carry, but you don't want them to get lost. There's a difference between burying and getting lost. So learning how and some techniques to do that. So focusing for the goal of this song. You know, going through that 80-20 rule is very important. Okay, and then ask yourself, say my final sonic goal when I finish mixing is, okay, and then fill in that blank. You know, what's the 3 biggest problems you need to solve, and that you need to get a great mix, and the biggest problems to achieve it. How would you go about solving those challenges as they come up, as you hear them, especially, say, for example, if you had an unlimited budget and you had unlimited time, no constraints whatsoever, what would you do? Because many of us are operating under constraints, not enough this, not enough that. But if you didn't have any of those things in the way, what would you do if you just had an unlimited way to do it, unlimited budget, unlimited time, no constraints, And the top 3 things that you should focus on, say, the top 3 activities I should focus on to reach my mixing goals is, then write that down. What is that comes after is? If you go through some of these, it'll help you start focusing what you're trying to achieve, And now here's another one that's just as important. It's in the opposite direction. Think about the top 3 things that I should stop doing. The top 3 things that I should stop doing in order to reach my goals is what? Fill that in. Write down 3 little things. Get focused on that. Let's give you a couple examples of top 3 things you should stop doing. One of the things for me is I should stop listening too loud. I should stop not taking breaks, trying to power through it. It's because it's not going to serve me. The top three things I should stop doing is not remembering to use bypass to be sure what I'm doing is improving what I'm actually doing. Sometimes I'll put some stuff on and forget about that because I'm just so sure what I did was right. But I should stop assuming. Stop assuming. That's one of the top things that, for me, stop assuming that what you did was definitely the right thing. Keep going back and checking in. I think it's a huge thing to do. Okay, and here's another question too. It's a question to step outside of yourself. You got to ask yourself exactly, who do I need to become? Who do I need to become to be sure that I achieve the goals for this song? I need to be somebody. If I'm not what it is, I need to become somebody else, So, for example, I need to think and become and channel, say, a Dave Pensado or guys like that, the Bruce Sweetings or the George Massenbergs or the Bob Clearmountains of yesteryear, or some of the newer guys today, depending on what it is. But whoever it is for you, I need to channel that person and become that person. Step outside of myself, David Stedman says Don King. Okay. You've got to actually find a way to make yourself not take yourself so seriously. Take yourself out of the equation. We have our own equation, and I'll get to that in a moment about what it is. I have a little formula, in fact, that'll keep you working on your career as long as you want to do it. It's worked for me, and it's worked for a lot of other people and everything. It's a little formula that'll keep you on point. But we'll cover that a little bit later. You've got to also, like I said, just become somebody else. If you get stuck too much in yourself sometimes, it's good to step back and become that other person, make it a high level type of person, or even if it's not a person, sometimes, when I say who do I have to become, it can be something else. Like, for example, I have to sometimes become a kid. That's who I have to become to get back. Who do I have to become? Sometimes I have to become, I have to become a lot of different things depending on the circumstance. If I'm doing something that's more centric to women, then I have to tap into my, a little more lighter side and not be so masculine about the way I'm thinking about things, because I got to remember there's a whole nother audience, and I need to step into that side just to be sure that I can understand where it's coming from, because you can miss a just a whole group of folks. You can just totally miss it if you don't find that. Like I said, if it's a youth-oriented market, I've got to remember what it was like when I was young. That's who I have to become at that moment, and not become crotchety old man being judgmental and things like that, which is the big mistake that I find a lot of people that as they get older in this business, many times they become so set in their ways and locked in everything. Dave and I was just talking about this the other day, because we make sure we check ourselves periodically on doing that, because it's easy to fall into it, and it makes you become jaded on a lot of things that you knew based on when you came up and what you came through. But we also have to keep reminding ourselves is that it's a different time now. The bar has changed. Some will say the bar has been lowered. I will say in some areas the bar has been lowered, but really more than anything, I think the bar has just been shifted like left to right more than anything, So, Dave, why don't you chime in for a little bit, because, like I said, we just had that conversation the other day about, having to become a whole nother person.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things. In order to last in this business, we constantly have to retask and take an assessment of ourselves. And since there was no form of communication like this early on, it was really whoever we had the nerve to talk to these things about in front of one another, which usually ended up being you and me late at night in the studio, or a couple other people, but
Yeah.
the feelings are real, and what ends up happening is that you can be working so much and be consistently doing what it is that you want to do, that it gives you a sense of judgment about situations and things, because you're eating up information and situations so fast. For me, I go from genre to genre, artist to artist, so I'm eating up and devouring all kinds of knowledge about how they work and how they do what they do, and I'm mixing it with how the machines work, what the end result is, and I'm trying to contribute my little bit of information on how their situation can be more efficient. And so what I find is that if I don't step outside of myself and start to listen or talk to a young person or have some young people that I'm in communication with, I will have all these other things take over the minute I run into some things I don't like. Most of I'm not a fan of some of the lyrics. So now when I have to work with somebody who's not necessarily lyrically conscious, or their success is based on their lack of lyrical control, so they say anything they want to say, they do it, and they're successful, I have to be specific and say, well, hey, you know what? I'm not really into the lyrical content, but I'm into helping folks do what they got to do better. So let's find a happy medium.
Yeah.
And that being the case, it works. It works, and it helps me, but it also helps when I have young people around, so I can understand what they hear and what they're cueing off of. If you don't, we know so much about music, song structure, transition, all these things that are so intense, that we now have people participating in music who are making decisions that are not as intense. Many of the decisions are successful, and we would all sometimes question them if all we had to do was sit at a table and go, well, according to what we know, that should never work. Well, we don't know anything, because we don't generate the money that pays people. We are part of the food chain. We are part of the working force out there trying to make money. So as Grandma once said, so much you don't know nothing. So sometimes you have to unlearn it. You have to, now you're watching a lot of people deconstruct mixes. Well, sometimes you have to deconstruct your career. Right? You have to deconstruct who you are and how you got there in order to come up with something. Now on the contrary, on the inverse of that, it doesn't mean that you run into a career and just try the strategy of being the most ignorant one in the room, figuring, well, what the hell? He said I got to reinvent, so why don't I just run in and be ignorant? Then I don't know nothing, and then that'll work. That's not really what I'm saying. So don't go to the anti-strategy as a technique. What I'm saying is that the more time you put in the business, the more you are going to have to figure out these different ways in which you look at yourself and what you learn and how you can better how you deliver you to the marketplace. Because at the end of the day, you're delivering yourself to the marketplace. You know. Now I know there's some people on here who are not maybe you're doing it for your own satisfaction. So usually when I start talking about delivering things to marketplace, people go, oh, here he goes talking about that. But a lot of us are here under the guise that this is a career, this is what we're going to do, and that we're trying to transition our skill set into something that people would look at and say we need to work with them. So, you know, if that speaks to you, then cool. But you know, I just think there's something to be learned from everybody. My 6-year-old, teenagers, there's something to be learned from every genre of music. I think there's a point that which you have to find your personal things that you choose, but I do think there's something to be learned from every situation and every person that's trying to do something. You know, and success really is very different when you look at these different genres of music, and that's just mildly. It's based on so many unpredictable factors. So we can only look at the patterns and go, yeah, that's cool. We can only apply the physics of what Joseph was talking about earlier. We can only apply that to a certain degree because the physics could all be right, this could all be right, but you know, for all intents and purposes, if you delivered the right looking thing for that day and 80% of your audience was into how things looked, all those other things wouldn't make a difference. You know, because now we are so visually driven as well. So we have to constantly kind of adapt our skill set and keep adapting in order to take on not only the stuff that we know or that we think we know, but the things that we don't know and are just playing catch up on. Because a lot of this we're just playing catch up on. If you would have asked Khaliq 8 years ago, man, what do you think about this, and he wasn't here. He wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't thinking about that. We were talking about, oh, anybody call? What's the project you're working on? Right? That was the dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. So and time is you know, time travels fast, man. In a short amount of time, he's come a long way, understanding the whole delivery system of just online education. What we'll call nonlinear access, because you know this is not, you know, recording 1, 2, or 3. This is basically anything you guys want to talk about, he's able to tackle, you know. And there's a difference, you know. I'll say this, that with everything that's been going on with just this site and some of the others, you know, we have a lot of Pro Tools operators in our industry. We have very few recording engineers. Mm-hmm. So my goal in participating in these things is to get to everybody we can and help everybody to really enjoy and pass on the traditions of recording engineering. And, you know, all the praise to Pro Tools operators. Love you. But it's not just, don't just stop there. Don't just stop there, because there's so much. You know, a lot of the good stuff that you guys are going to get to are going to be found in other parts of the robot. I like Joseph's analogy. So they're going to be found in other parts of the robot. Some people only see the robot for the big, gigantic thing that it is coming down the street. Other people see it for what it turns into when you look at Transformers, right? You see Transformers, how a robot can turn into a car, can turn into this. You know, so everybody has a different aspect. But there's so much to be learned here, man. And you know, I think it's really good. But yeah, we talked long and hard about just that whole thing of getting a tack on who I am today. Who I am today. Because what happens is the more time you spend in this business, the more you will start to fool yourself. Unless you have those honest conversations, you'll start fooling yourself into thinking you're actually an expert at some shit. Right? And you're not. What you are is a good guesser. What you've done is you categorically guessed enough times and had enough opportunities to guess and sometimes get paid that you can narrow down your chance of doing a wrong guess. Okay,
That's a good way to put it.
It's a better way to look at it, so you don't get so damn cocky, right? Because it's not about you. It's about the music. It's about the songs. It's about whatever project you're working on, and you got to really kind of keep it in that perspective, you know.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Great way. I want to get on here one of our other trainers that's going to be coming on. Mott, I want you to get on here real quick. Unmute for a second, and let's see what's going on with you, bro.
Captain.
Cool, man. Yeah, you looking all cozy and comfortable and everything. Just caught you.
I had to get away from where Dre was because it would be eating up our bandwidth. The way they have the Wi-Fi or have it set up, we'd have to share the same. It's the line actually there is capable of handling us, but what they have us on, nah, they have us split off onto something that's just not going to handle both of us on this at the same time.
Oh, so, I got you.
A whole different location.
Oh, cool. Is that Dre on the other one I'm seeing? Yeah, I think I see you over there. Yeah, what's up, man? Cool. What I want to do, guys, is just go ahead and talk to folks a little bit because, you know, we've all been doing this stuff now for the last year, and a lot of good things have been happening. We've all learned a lot as well. So what I want you to do is tell people what it is that you want for them coming up at the boot camp, which is in December 7th for you guys, just to know. Mod's going to be on there, and also Dre the Most, and we're going to do some stuff even with his crew to help the whole community of us that we have out here. So these are the people that are in the trenches every day, interfacing also with some of the big dogs that have been out here. So you learn a lot of stuff along the way. Tying it all together sometimes is a challenge for all of us too. So tell them what you have in store, that some things that you've learned to help tie it together, but what you also want to help, you know, have other people do from what you present.
You know, I've been doing a lot of stuff asking people about vocals. Like I've asked you and Dave Hampton and Dave Isaac and just a whole bunch of people. But anything covering vocals, like what I actually do is I tend to want to ask the audience what do they want. So I walk into a situation and I'm a problem solver. Because a lot of the stuff, like when I go to your seminars, people wanted vocals. We'd be doing all this stuff, and at the end when you would ask a question, they really wanted stuff about vocals. And so if I have some stuff where I'll cover things that I personally do with vocals to get the sounds that I like. Low ratio compression, 1.5 to 1 or lower. I can get in. I plan on getting into that. I just used Waves H comp for the first time where I really used it, and it was on something. Dre made a beat. Dre the Most down there made a beat, and Loverboy got on and started singing. And what I had noticed was when we were done with a lot of the vocals that were going on, when I would walk in, the vocals seemed thin, and I just didn't like. I didn't like the sound of what I was hearing, and so I'd take everything off, and the vocal would sound good. So I said, okay, we need to start having checks to make sure that we're not screwing stuff up, and we need to start not just listening but have an actual goal. So like I walked into this vocal, and whatever was on it, it had a stack of stuff on it. I just took everything off. I walked into the session, it had about 8 plugins on this vocal. I didn't even listen.
Wow.
I just took everything off. And then I did file save as whatever the name was and added my and I soloed the vocal and just listened, and it just looped, and I just sat there listening. And when you guys were, you know, as you and several other people explained, We have to listen to the vocals. Like you bring the singer in, and you go through every word and what every word means, and get that singer to emote each word or each section of the song, whatever, each moment the way it should be. I went and I listened for that to see if the singer was doing that, and it occurred to me that when we mix, I need to mix that way. So not just throw plugins on or whatever on, but actually mix with that same mindset. Else I'm working against you. So if say Dave Hampton is working with a singer and he gets a singer to emote everything the way that they should, and I come in and just even everything out and just do what I think technically should be whatever, without paying attention to the emotional intent, I could just totally work against what he was doing. So it's things like that as an engineer where we listen, and when we go to make a move, we make a move for a reason. So as I listened to this vocal and I started compressing, I had in my mind that I wanted to force myself to use this H comp so I would learn. But I'm listening to this vocal, and every move that I made was made with a purpose. I ended up making less moves, and the vocal did not get destroyed.
That's cool.
That right there was major. And so I bounced it down two different ways. One where the vocal was loud and dryish and sort of purish sounding, and the other I actually phased the vocal to soften it and push it back, where the vocal wasn't jumping as much. And then I told Dre to listen. And one of the catches to listening to this was to really listening was, I normally create a stereo aux for the vocals. Say all vocals will go through the stereo submix. And so I had this vocal, this solo lead vocal going out to the master fader, right? Sounded great. It was very, what I would call solid. It was just sitting right there in the middle. As soon as I changed the output to go through that submix aux, that stereo aux with no plugins on it, the sound changed. And that threw me. Yes, it threw me. It was like the vocal became stereo-ish. Even though it's a mono vocal up the middle, it flat out changed. And I put it back to going straight out the master fader, without going through any submix aux or anything, and it changed right back. And I just sat there looking and like, okay, let me reboot. So I rebooted, same thing. Then I had Drake. I said, Dre, all right, I want you to come in. I want you to mix, and I want you to any aux that you make for the lead vocal, I want you to make it a stereo aux that you're going to mix the vocals through. And because that's what I did on this one. I ended up my submix aux for this lead vocal ended up being a mono aux. So I might have two tracks. I might split that. Say I split that lead vocal into two tracks. They went out in a mono aux, and it sat better in the mix. It sounded better. It was more solid. And like the background vocals went through a stereo submix, and they were out of the way. It was an automatic thing. Like when people say in analog, there's an automatic thing that happens. Like Dre went to one of these studios in LA and came back, just changed, and we're working too hard. Because the gear was doing something. Well, this thing right here, hey Dre, unmute real quick. Unmute, and you tell Khaliq what you heard. Tell Khaliq what you found out about this mono stereo stuff that I'm talking about with the lead vocal or whatever.
Well, what I found out, because usually we record a lot of background vocals.
Mm-hmm.
And when I bust the lead vocal, which is mono, when I make it go to a stereo aux, it kind of like gets in the way of everything else. But when I bust it to a mono aux, kept it right in the middle. My background vocals were on the sides. It just, I don't know, it gave me like more space, like the real space that was supposed to be there.
So awesome. Now explain to us the mono aux versus the stereo aux. When we're talking about the returns, right?
Yeah.
And
no, wait, hold on. You mean returns as in sends?
As in sends?
No, the returns, the inputs on the channel, the auxiliary returns. Is that what you're talking about?
We're using Pro Tools, and we send the out. We create an aux and call it, say, all aux, and then take the output of an individual track and send it to the input of that aux.
Right, right, exactly. So yeah,
And the
that's
output of that goes to the master fader, say.
gotcha. So you use stereo and mono returns.
Yeah. Now we do. At first, I wasn't doing it.
Okay, and what did you try? Did you guys try it on the stereo return? Did you try it by putting both the panning in the center on both channels and level match it to see if it really was different? Because it shouldn't be any different, actually.
I know it absolutely shouldn't, and I just accept whatever happens. I did not put it to center. I thought about that. I moved on and said, okay, I'll deal with this later. Let's mix with this, see what happens. And Dre's been over there ecstatic, talking about, man, these mixers, blah blah blah. You know, and I don't. You're right. It should be the same. I have no idea why. I don't even know what to say. I was using, when I did it, I was using Pro Tools 11.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago did we get Pro Tools 11, Dre? How long ago did we get Pro Tools 11?
Like 2 months ago.
So I'm trying, when I'm in there, I'm trying to make sure I'm on Pro Tools 11 so that I go in there and try to and use Pro Tools 11 so that I could just, you know, get ramped up on the new features or whatever little nuances are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it really threw me off, Khaliq. But the whole point in that was, the only reason I caught it was because I was listening. I was actually paying attention for any changes in the audio quality. And whereas before we put deverb on one time, and deverb changed. We inserted deverb, and it changed the quality of the vocal.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really changed it. And I said, Dre, hold on, man, look. This vocal sucks. Now it sounds great. You know, we made deverb inactive, and the vocal all of a sudden sounded great. And so when we were sitting there struggling to make this vocal sound good with deverb inserted, and it had already sounded good. But these are the, like, whatever little nuances are going to come up, because sometimes the computer will just glitch or whatever. But the whole point in what I'm saying is to actually, that part where you talk about listening and making sure that we're not screwing something up, you know, critically listening and making sure that when we make a change that it's actually something good going on, and knowing what that change is, actually hearing that change. Spent a lot of time with that this last week.
Oh, that's good, man.
Going over that. And then, like I said, each move that was made with intent. Like I went in and what did I do? I listened to the vocal, and before I even started compressing, I looked at, okay, what is my chain, my signal chain? You have the output volume on Pro Tools. The output volume is after everything, and the clip gain is before. Well, when you hit compressors, sometimes it changes the sound, and it could like make your S's stronger, like harsh or whatever. So what I went in, and when I de-essed, I used clip gain to de-ess, and purpose, like with the thought of I'm hitting the compressors down the stage less.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with that thought, because normally I'm used to going and doing the automation lane with the volume, which is after the compression and everything. So I clip gained it down and said, okay, well, everything else I should be clip gaining down too. And I did this back in the day. I inserted a trim plugin and did this to make sure that I would hit the plugins, the tools down the line less. And that was a huge, like, clip gain makes it so easy. But so I went in and did that, make sure before I even used, like, I was just making sure that the compressors were hit less and that I changed the sound less. So before I even put a compressor on, I went in and manually made the vocals be more even, or the way I wanted them dynamically, before I even put compression on. And then I made sure that I did it before what would be hitting the compression, instead of what I was doing back in the day, which was I would go in and do this automation, but it would be after the compression. And that's a whole different thing. And just knowing that type of stuff played a big part. But like I say, every move was made with intent. And what else? And the other thing was I started listening from the audience's perspective. I'm trying to listen as an audience member. Because I don't remember who all said it, but the whole idea of a producer being the audience. And so as you listen, how is the audience going to feel and hear this? And so then the next thing is to mix like that. Mix as if I'm the audience listening. Or when I'm recording a singer, I'm the actual audience, not just some technical nerd dude. The nerdy stuff is actually for whatever emotional intent we want to get. So the way I actually use the nerdy stuff now is I'll have an intention for what this vocal is supposed to be, and then I just make the nerdy stuff achieve that. What are you about to say? Oh, you need to go off? And Dre, on that mix that you're doing right now, what are you right now, what are you doing to the vocal? And I'm asking because I was talking about low ratio compression. On Facebook, I have that post where I was showing my low ratio compression settings. What are you doing to the vocal right now?
As in, like, right now, or what I did to it?
Okay, what'd you do? Take everything off?
What happened?
What did you do? Take everything off?
Yeah, I restarted from the beginning when I figured out that mono stuff. I started all the way from the beginning, and
here we go. Okay, bye.
Khaliq is bringing you on, huh? Hello. Yeah. What? So right now, Dre, you have nothing on it?
No, I got the full mix is still there.
What do you have going on the vocal?
I just did a lot of low ratio compression. I hardly EQ'd. I probably used the VEQ4. Took out I used the high pass. I took out like 270 on the lead vocal. Boosted about 4K, but just a lot of compression, really low ratio compression.
And why low ratio?
Well, on my C1, I did all the way to the threshold all the way to the floor, so it smashed the whole signal. But it's still low ratio, so it hardly changes the sound. And then I got
that's it. No, Dre, that's it right there is what I wanted you to talk. That low ratio compression, you end up seeing a lot of reduction on the meter, but you might not hear much of a sound change.
Oh.
And that right there was a powerful thing.
Yep. And then I got I'm using the C1 with the threshold all the way to the floor with the low ratio, and then I got the Dying 3 doing the same thing. I'm getting about 1 dB on the Dying 3, and that's just to knock down the jumping frequencies and stuff like that.
Okay. Now I have a question for you guys. I go through my big thing, and by the way, I mean I know why. Well, I suspect I know why you are doing things like that. But this is this is what I always put up. What is your why? Why are you doing these things? Explain to everybody.
Okay. Well, when I recorded it, I'm using an Apollo, so I kind of EQ'd on the way in, and I had a good vocal already, and I didn't want to change the sound too much.
Quick question: why did you EQ on the way in, and what were you using? Let's just step through the process.
All right, let me pull that up to see what I used. Let me see here.
Well, it doesn't even matter. I mean, just let's talk about the thought process, because that's a big part of what I want us to present to everybody out there. Thought process is huge. Why? What were you doing, and why did you do it? So, for example, why did you EQ on the way in? And how aggressively did you EQ? Was it because the mic you had, did it have a deficiency, or did it have? Why did you do it? Did you have another option to change it and get the sound better? If you needed to go back and re-record it, say somebody had to fix the vocal and punch it in or whatever, how would you match the settings? Because it becomes more difficult when you record in.
Okay. Well, me personally, I just kind of like how the UAD sounds going in.
So why did you EQ into it?
He had we're using an AKG C414, and I like when coming in, like I kind of like to get as close as possible to what I want, sound wise. So I took out some low end, not too much though. I never take out too much because I don't want to mess up. I might take out too much and not be able to get it back. So I probably took out probably like 120K and down using the pull tech, and then I boosted probably like 3K just so it cuts through a little bit more. But I did very little stuff, and then I know I used the Fairchild compressor plugin, getting probably like 1-2 dB reduction, not too much. Like I said, when I record in, I just don't want to get overdo it, and then I'd be stuck with a messed up vocal.
Absolutely, that's a great point. This is why I'm asking the questions, because to help others that are watching, if you're in different stages of what you're doing in your recording, mixing, music production, and all these, this is the thought process. Like I said, I always keep going back to this. What is your why? You got to keep asking that question. Why am I doing this? So this is why I'm pressing him, for everybody to know from the lessons, some lessons that I learned too. A couple of times I used to, and here's where you have to find a balance, and you have to know what it is that you do. When I used to work on different sessions, and for example, I would learn how to record into the session and get the mic sounding just the way I want. But a couple of times early on, especially, doesn't have it happen now, but early on, I guessed wrong. So sometimes there's a couple vocals that I recorded or something else I recorded. Maybe I had too much high end. Sounded good in my rough mix and seemed to be okay, but then as other things kept getting added on and frequency interactions changed, the first guess that I made recording in became wrong. Or maybe even something as simple as the vocalist comes in and says, I want to redo that. I just don't like that. Or I like everything but the second part of the bridge and the first part of the first verse. So can we just punch into that, match it, and then be done? And everybody thinks it's so easy. Okay, I'll just put it up and just go ahead and punch it in, and we can just match it. But then if you've done a lot of stuff, you can get away from making that match. And everybody will keep hearing it and saying, I can hear that punch. Why do I, it's weird. And you'll be like, I don't know, we're using the same thing and all that. But what can happen is the environment can change. The humidity in the air is different for that day as opposed to the day that you did it. The vocalist may come in that particular day, have a whole different type of resonance in their voice. Maybe they're getting a cold, or maybe they sang a show and have a little something. So little subtleties start adding up in addition to the changes that you made. Getting back to it can come back to bite you if you don't know why you're doing the things, and understanding also, like Dre was saying too, he didn't do a lot. He did enough to make it sound like he wanted it to sound. And I suspect that by now he knows kind of what the sound is that he's going after. But when you're first starting out or whatever, or if you're in a scenario where you don't have your own gear and you're in somebody else's situation, and then you have to move to another situation and then to another situation, it's always changing. You need to make sure you have constants that you can get back to, that if I never have access to where I am now and the way I am now, I can continue on without what I did biting me. So that's why I'm asking all those questions, so people can understand how important that is, man.
And he said 120K, he meant 120 hertz, y'all.
Right. Yeah, he got dolphin hearing, man. Oh yeah, no, that's cool. And I want to welcome Lanice on here. We got Lanice Bent. What's going on, Lanice? Welcome. You might have to unmute. You have to unmute your mic up top. Wait a minute, or I'll go to the thing and unmute you.
Yep, if you move your cursor up toward the top, you should see a microphone appear.
And let me unmute you, Lanice. You should be unmuted now. You okay? Speak to me.
Your microphone, it says.
We got it. We got you. You're back on.
This is my first time. Be gentle with me.
That's all right. That's all right. Everybody starts out as a virgin. Yeah. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. I'm running this the audio through some speakers on my desk here. Should I put on headphones, or what should I do?
Well, as long as it's low. I don't really hear any feedback right now, so I think you might be okay. Does anybody else hear any feedback or anything?
He sounds fine.
Yeah, you sound fine. So it's not too loud to get in here. But Hey, Lanisa, I wanted to get her on here as well. She's somebody that I've known for a few years and an excellent engineer, and she's had a ton of experience out here that you guys really ought to benefit from her journey. I figured, I was like, oh, it'd be nobody better to have on than Lanice Bent to come on here and show you from another perspective. Yeah. And Lanice, just what we're doing, let me explain first of all. Today is a pre-training hangout. So we're giving a few tips and nuggets of stuff that we're going to be talking about on the upcoming Music Mixing Success Bootcamp that happens December 7th. And you're going to be one of the trainers on there and presenting some stuff based on your journey, some of the things that you found helpful throughout your career and everything. But just kind of give people a lightweight overview of, how you got started and maybe a couple of things that you ran into that was like, boy, I've got to get through this if I want to continue doing this or find another job, and let me talk myself off that ledge because I love doing this. Any little things you want to put in there, you might think
Sure. Well, I started out in film school. Actually, I grew up here in L.A., Compton, and was in the Screen Children's Guild as a kid. And
Cool.
so, you could do
You from
that.
Compton? I didn't
I'm
know
from
that.
Compton. Yeah.
Hey.
I'm bent out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton. Been out of Compton, straight out of Compton.
Yeah, right. Rosecrans and Santa Fe. So my brother and I were put in the Screen Children's Guild to, help support the family when we were little kids. And but there's always been music in my life, and my family's musical and technical, and it all kind of came together. But in high school, a good friend of mine was, my boyfriend actually, a very good friend. His guitar player in his band became an engineer with Leon Russell. Leon,
Okay.
yeah, he had a studio in his home back then, and nobody had that. And
A home studio back in the day. Wow, that was so rare.
yeah. I mean, it took up a lot of real estate, but Leon was, part of the Wrecking Crew, and also was quite successful on his own by then with Mad Dogs and Englishmen and Joe Cocker, and had written, Delta Lady, and I mean, he was huge. He was huge.
Real quick, then, what did a home studio look like back in the day? Because a lot of people that are younger, they don't have the concept of home studio.
Home studio really meant the home, and he had a big old house in Encino, and I walked in. Roger, his engineer, invited me over, and I was like, woohoo! So I went over there, and immediately it was my epiphany. But I walked in the foyer, and to the right, I just heard all of this music happening, and they turned the formal dining room, into the control room, and it knocked a wall between the dining room and the living room, which was huge, and the living room was the studio part. But lots of real estate back then was necessary. He had a 40-track Stevens machine. There were only like 3 of them ever made, I think. And so he had this big old, I believe, well, it was, I didn't know anything back then. Part of it was he had like a Sony sidecar. He put 2 consoles together to accommodate the 40 tracks. I think one of them was an MCI. And but I just I heard Mary McCrary's 21 tracks of background vocals coming through there, and I just said, show me how to work this thing. I was already in film school and at university, and dropped out to the next day and found a recording school and signed up. And you wanted to know what kind of challenge that was. That was an enormous challenge because finding a recording school back then, this was long time ago. This is 1975, and so I dropped out and found at Sherwood Oaks Experimental College, and a few people I've run into lately went there because it was the only place you could find besides Recording Institute of America, but I think that was in New York. And anyway, the school it started out at turned into Soundmasters Recording School.
I remember them, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the very first class of that, 50 guys and me, and that's where the challenge was, because I had no audio technology training or education or background, really. I just knew this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to figure it out. So they were having these lecture classes and talking about limiters and compression and velocity and amplitude and frequency response and square waves and, you know, complex waves and, you know, and I started to panic in the first class. So I called up Roger, who was, you know, Leon's engineer, just, you know, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know, whatever. And he says, come over. So after about 11 o'clock at night, I drove over to Leon Russell's house, and Roger started saying, okay, this is what a limiter does, and this is what a compressor does, and this is a passive equalizer, and this is an active equalizer, and this is a parametric equalizer, and this is what all these things sound like, and just settle down, will you? And so I calmed down, but I've learned to, what I did, you asked, how did I get over this hump? How did I learn how to do this? I just, I worked 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and would go to school Monday and Wednesday nights, and then spent Tuesdays and Thursdays at Leon Russell's house, where they'd be recording all sorts of people, and Roger would let me hang out, and I got to meet all the people and learn from there what was going on, and then
there was a lot of legends around too, because
there were. Well, actually, Roger was pretty much a legend too. He was this little teenager who was working on his little invention right then, which was well, his name's Roger Lynn.
Roger Lynn. Yeah, I was about to ask you. The Lynn drum and all that stuff and everything that came after that, including all the MPCs and everything, started with that guy.
So that's who trained me. And
wow.
Yeah, we're still friends, and even after that, yeah. So I was, boy, you know, the universe really wanted me to do this because they dropped me just right in the right place with the right people, and I'm so grateful and thankful. And this recording school where they had lectures but no studios like recording schools now. The good news was that we had our labs at Capitol and Conway. So that's where I got my first hands-on in the classroom there. So that was very cool too. And then when I graduated, I applied and got a job at the Village Studios as an assistant back in August 22nd, 1976. My first session was they put me to sit in and observe with Alice Coltrane. And that was my very first session, and
wow.
Boy, oh boy, yeah. I mean, it was a tremendous time to be in the music business, and tremendous time to be in the recording business. I mean, everybody had budgets. Great people were performing. Studios were at their peak. You know, it was just really amazing. I got to work with so many great people.
Give us a few other ones that people would recognize.
Roger, well, Steely Dan was the first record I worked on, the Asia album.
Oh, you worked on Asia. That's one of my favorite of all time.
Yeah, and Roger Nichols, Roger the Immortal, may rest in peace. He was my main mentor, and I got to learn from a lot of great people there, but I spent most of my time, I worked 10.5 months on that record. And so I learned all sorts of things about engineering and producing and how to do vocals. And
all right, wait, but Lanice, here's what I want to get from you, because see, everybody, you know, all the engineering stuff, all that, that's all cool and everything. But we're talking about you was in the room with Steely Dan, and we know the stories and all that. And the real education comes through it. And I know you got it firsthand now. The real education is handling the room. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you know, anybody who is becoming an engineer, they realize that when you're working with clients, it has nothing to do with the gear. It has really, well, maybe a little bit, but not really. It's all about your people skills and your ability to work well with others and to keep that session running smoothly, and you know, knowing what's going to happen next to keep that client happy, so they'll stay there in that room and do their thing and be glad that they're there with you and nobody else. And those are the things that matter, and how to work well with people and how to get the performances out of them. Once you know, I mean, anybody can learn Pro Tools, anybody can learn Nuendo, anybody can learn, you know, my technique. You know, you better learn my technique, you better learn signal flow, you better learn all that stuff. But if nobody wants to be in the same room with you for more than 5 minutes, it's not going to matter.
Not going to matter at all. That's so huge, too. I mean, that's something that I learned a long time ago is because they've got to feel comfortable. They've got to feel safe around you, even when they're a little psychotic. You know, we've all seen psychotic clients where really it's just a passion. But the more brilliant a lot of people are, many times they can be very high strung, and they want to feel like they can still be who they're going to be and not have to trip about you. Who is this guy or girl over here that's kind of freaking me out? You know.
Well, yeah, you got to be able to hang. I mean, just because somebody's really talented doesn't necessarily mean they're a very nice person. It doesn't mean they're particularly sane, and doesn't mean all those things. Just because they're really good at what they do making records, you know, most of the people, you know, have elements of kindness in them, and all of that. But what you said, a very important thing there, that's their safe harbor, and that has to be respected, and a lot of people don't understand that. Where these you know, they're bearing their lives, they're creating their art, and you're part of that creation, and it's that has to be the main thing. And it's a service industry. We're in a service industry. We're providing a service, and they can choose wherever they want to go, and you know, and just like we can choose whatever studios we want to work in and all of that. So you know, it's be that person or be that place or provide the service that will attract the people that you want in your studio or to work with you. That's really important, and they have to feel safe there. It's their happy place.
Yeah.
Make it their happy place.
You got to, you know, and you know you'll get bounced out real quick if you're freaking folks out like that.
You're telling me.
Yeah, you know, I'm lucky that I never got kicked out, but I almost did a couple of times because of my ignorance. I didn't know and got a little too comfortable a couple of times, and it's like you got to recognize, okay, make it cool, make them feel good, but don't get too cozy in there because bottom line, you're still there to work too.
Well, the thing, yeah, if you're an assistant engineer, like that's what was my position, or, you know, you're the only person who works for the studio. Well, in my case, I worked for the studio, and I was also part of the production team. So I'm the eyes and ears. I was the eyes and ears of the village in that studio. So if anybody was being abusive or anything was going on in there that would be a problem, you know, people try to pay me off to cut their studio time. If you know, let us go overtime, we'll throw you some coin. And it was like, I can't do that.
No,
so you don't sign my paycheck.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a trick too, just to see what kind of person you are. You know, what your character is like. I've had that happen as well too, and the bottom line is you always got to you've got to work with integrity and look out for the person. I mean, to me, it's like one of those things. Well, listen, rather than do that, just pay the bill. You know, if you're going to pay something, just pay the bill. Pay for the
Say, well, you know, I'm sure the studio manager wouldn't mind if you stayed a little longer, and you know, we'll work it out. But that you have to be completely honest, and because boy, you violate that once, and then they know that you can do it again.
And they'll keep pushing you too. Yeah, they keep pushing the boundaries to see. Okay.
And I'm so grateful that somebody, you know, I was just so young and green. I just didn't know anything. I was 22 when I started working there, and back then, you know, women were in the studio for a different reason.
Yeah.
They had a different responsibility, and there weren't any girl assistants really.
Well, that's back in the day. There really wasn't. I mean, you were so rare to really be in there. I'm sure you had to fight and battle for just having the respect of that you're really in there. Your motives are real and pure and true. You're not somebody that started out. I would imagine you probably burned your Barbies a long time ago and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I don't want to get that vision. That's cruel. But let's just say threw them off to the side somewhere.
Well, I just knew I had to be twice as good to get half the recognition back then, and also I had to just, you know, I wore glasses and Wesley Gaudio T-shirts, and you know, you didn't cavort with the clientele or anybody, and so they all thought I was gay, of course, and you know, at first, because I wouldn't sleep with anybody, and I had a boyfriend, you know, and besides, but I knew that in order to be taken seriously, I had to, you know, be better and just be there, and it actually, I didn't have to fight very much at all. Once I demonstrated that I meant it, and that I could align a tape machine, and I could take, you know, copious notes, and knew how to edit 2-inch and set up mics and do all this stuff, and you know, that's what they needed me to do, and my gender didn't really matter. I kind of enjoyed having a different, you know, energy in there.
Absolutely, yeah, I can see
but
that.
I knew I had to just, you know, be serious about my job, but, you know, also be able to hang. Only once did I get removed from a session, and that was because the producer said I, quote unquote, inhibited his barroom banter.
He wanted to cuss like a sailor, and like the lady in the room.
Yeah, and you know, that's, out of all those years and all of that, that's really the only time, you know, where, you know, it became an issue. So the lesson...
That was more his issue, not yours.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and actually, you know, I was kind of happy not to be on that, you know. They would assign you to whatever session you were going to work on. You didn't always have say in whether you're going to work on something or not. Right. So I really didn't mind not being on that one. But I never wanted to play that girl card, because that's not what it's about. It's about being good at what you do. And to this day, you know, it's the same thing. You know, nobody's going to hire me because I'm a girl. They're going to hire me because I'm good.
That's,
I have to be good at what I do. Just being a girl isn't enough. And being a girl engineer is, you know, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And well, in fact, you know, it's really, like you said, you got to fight twice as hard to get half the recognition, be twice as good. So it really is, it's a huge feather in your cap just to get through. Have you ever, and I mean, I know the answer to this because we all go through it, but have you ever wanted to quit?
I did quit.
You did?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Sure. I quit after, hey Dave.
Hey.
Dave Hampton, how are you? Yeah, after I was, I kind of burned out, but I got real sick, but I also got real fed up. I was working with a very crazy producer, and one of those people who's very talented but isn't necessarily, you know,
Nice.
somebody you want to socialize with. But I did a whole bunch of records with him, and it was insane, and it wasn't the way I wanted to do music, and I was his employee, and you know, made the first, you know, pulling the girl card here, first girl to make a platinum record, but it just about killed me because it was just so crazy. It was for Blondie, and the first rap record. I engineered the first platinum rap record.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's written by a blonde white girl and engineered by a blonde white girl.
Yeah.
Silly, but that was the first one that actually crossed over and brought, you know, recognition to the other side. I mean,
how did you feel when that first started going? Because, you know, nobody ever can see all these things until as they're developing and suddenly be like, oh my God. How did you feel?
I had no idea what that was all about. I just really loved working with Debbie Harry, and she tremendous, really smart, wonderful person, and I got to bring in a lot of, the reason I got hired was of all my connections I'd had with, you know, Steely Dan and Fleetwood Mac and Supertramp and all the, you know, everybody I got to work with at the Village, great musicians. So when they wanted good studio musicians or people I could, you know, Wawa Watson's on there, and Ray Brown Jr. is on there, and, you know, Flo and Eddie are on there, and a bunch of people that, you know, Ollie Brown and Alex Acuna and Emil Richards. They were the percussion on a song called "The Tide Is High." I brought them in, and so that was kind of why I got hired. But it just about killed me, and the day after we mastered, I checked in the hospital for cancer, and that was it. I said, boy, be careful what you ask for, because getting it was like, boy, this is what I wanted, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah. We know that one.
I had a question, Lenice, and it was around something that you said. You know, you said twice as hard for half the recognition. Okay, and I understand that. When did you or how did you come into acceptance of that fact and acceptance of it? You know, that's something I've always been curious about. Like, did you just say, oh well, and you just saw there's nobody around here looks like me. If I'm going to do this, I love it. Let me just keep on moving ahead. Or did you actually ponder it for any length of time, or how did you come into a place where you could accept those conditions to working?
I took it on as I recognized it almost immediately before I even got hired. I recognized it in recording school because most of the people in that school were guys who were you know, working with bands or roadies, or were you doing it. I hadn't done any of that, and so I was very intimidated and not terribly confident in myself right at first, but God bless Roger Lynn, and, you know, being able to go over to Leon's, that I just made it a point. If I knew so much that this is what I wanted to do, that I had to figure it out, and I knew just by being a girl, well, I've studied film, and just there had been enough instances where I knew I had to excel in order to be accepted. I had to be better than anybody else to be accepted with people who, you know, were accepted and didn't really have to excel. But I wanted this so much that I just took it on as my challenge and knew that that's what had to happen, or I wasn't going to make it. And but like I said, so I had, because I did prepare really well, and any chance I got, even during recording school, and I try to tell students this, you know, you're not getting the real education here in school. You're getting some knowledge, but boy, it's up to you how are you going to succeed over somebody else? You know, they're cranking out all of these people, and as you know, Dave, like you talked about, one of the things I say, boy, when you would come and speak in my class, it was so many pearls of wisdom. I just have to thank you for that. I've blatantly stolen, and but the main one is one of them that I love is to be willing to do the work that other people don't want to do, and that needs to be done. And you say, yeah, I'll take care of that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then you're an asset, not a liability. And you just, that's what I had to do, is just, because quite often, I mean, there were gigs that I was told I couldn't do because they wanted a guy on it. And I'd say, well, I can't do anything about that, except I know that I would do a really good job, and if anything changes, I really want that gig. And it was a British band called Supertramp. And it was, for the record, Breakfast in America. And the reason I wanted to become an engineer was their record, Crime of the Century. I heard that years before, and I said, I want to make records that sound like that. And I said it out loud. I mean, I heard that, and it was just like kapow, you know. I want to make records that sound like that. And so when I found out they were coming in, I, you know, went bam, right upstairs to the studio manager's office, and I said, I really want to work on this. I heard they're coming in, and he said, well, sorry, they want a guy. And so I was real upset about it, and then it turns out the Friday night before they were starting on Sunday, I got a call at about midnight saying, be in the studio at noon on Sunday, you're going to be working with Supertramp. And I went, whoa, you know, and this had been months. I had been stewing over this for months, saying, I need this, I want this record. This is supposed to be mine. And I was just not giving up on it. And I got in there at noon. They knew it'd be a long record, and the assistant didn't want to work on a long record. So I showed up at noon, and the engineer was sitting there, and he turns his head sideways and goes, may I help you? And I went, actually, the question is, may I help you? I'm Lenny Smith, and I'm going to be your assistant on this record. And I can't tell you the look on his face. I mean, it's like, he's mortified. And I said, where'd you like me to start? How can I help you? And so once he got over the shock, and, you know, it took a few days, people walked in and, really? And you know, yeah. But I just did my job, and if you do your job, yeah, and do it well, and are pleasant, and anticipate, they'll finally go, whoa, well, maybe this isn't such a bad thing after all. And yeah. But I knew there were going to be challenges. Just, it was such a boys' club. It's still a boys' club. Look at it. I'm the only girl here. It's okay.
Well, it's come a long way and a short way, Lenise. I'll say it like this. It's still a club. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
It's still a club. And there's all kind of levels to the club.
Yeah, exactly. But see here, Lenise, see what's going on though is the smart men know how to bring the women to the club. We know y'all running it anyway, so yeah, right. Yeah. So that's all right. That's okay. That's why I had to have you on here. You know,
I'm happy to be here. It's an honor and a real pleasure. Thanks, Khaliq.
I can't wait till December 7th because it's really going to be off the hook. We've been pushing the envelope a little bit today, a few technical challenges to see what it'll take to do a few things. It's so funny, too, because I've got a whole bunch of computers injected in, ready to do some stuff and everything, and I just started thinking that I'm smelling smoke. I'm like, oh, shoot, I bet. I'll like turn it off stuff right now. I was like, am I smelling something? I'm probably just tripping. Because
We'll see in a minute.
You'll see in a minute. If you see me make a mad dash, you'll know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, my God. As long as it's not the toaster or the oven, and it's electrical.
Well, that's the whole problem. There's a whole bunch of electrical going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Special smell.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Well, who are some of the people on here I'd like to meet?
Yeah, guys. Why don't you guys introduce yourself and say hi to Lanice on here? She already knows me and Dave, you know. And I also see we got Brad on here. In fact, let's start with Brad. We can get a chance to yell at him. We got Brad here and David Stedman as well. So good. But Brad, let's start with you.
Hey, Denise, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Great
Nice to
stories,
meet you.
huh?
Who are you, man?
Huh?
Who are you?
Oh, who am I? I'm a kind of a new breed. I call myself a vocal pre-producer, and what I do is get the artist ready for you guys.
Well, before you, he's Brad Chapman.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Brad Chapman.
Okay.
I'm kind of
Cool.
mesmerized here. Like, what do you guys want from me?
Say that again.
What's a vocal pre-producer? Is that like a vocal coach?
It is, except for that most of my competitors and even my old partner, unfortunately, cause more trouble with the producers than they solve, because they want the singer to have good technique, and that's not what you guys want. And so I rebranded my name. And the other thing is that I spend 90% of my work is on the emotional side with the singer, to bring out the most emotional X factor, magical performance, whatever you want to call it. And we use technique to get there, but it's not my focus. I don't focus on teaching technique. I used to, but I don't now.
Well, emotion is really important. I mean, you got to sell the record and tell the story. If people don't believe you, then it's not going to work. So, and it's all about the emotion you create, right?
Yeah, and it's funny how everybody but the voice teachers know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I used to be one. You know,
Do you have a particular genre that you work in, or
anything with a microphone? I don't do Broadway or classical.
where they have to be actors, or
Yeah, I deal with artists.
yeah.
That's a good way to put it. And I know that can be a confusing statement, because everybody's an artist, but what I mean is I work pretty much exclusively with people who are singing from their own opinion.
Right, so they're
not
acting, and you're not a director.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm trying to help them become the best them they are, and that's what the kind of artists that I work with want. And so whenever I would introduce myself as a vocal coach, people go, "Oh, well, you're one of those guys," you know. So as I get to know more producers, and I worked on more successful projects, I realized that I had to get rid of that phrase completely, technique or coach. And so it's great that you asked the question. That's exactly why I rebranded myself. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's what I do. A lot of producing now too. That was actually one of the things that I really learned from this producer. His name is Mike Chapman.
Oh, cool.
The legendary Mike Chapman.
Yeah.
Any relation?
I was related.
Any relation?
I wish I was. No.
Yeah. So he was a complete nutcase back then, and he's the person that met. He said, boy, he used to come in with a whip and everything. It was just
a literal whip,
Yeah. It was,
right, get to work.
And he was just so rough on, some people thinking that's what you need to get a vocal out of somebody, to get that kind of attitude. Like,
I've never had success that way.
It's never worked for me, and I've learned then. I mean, a lot of the lessons and the way you learn how to produce is by watching somebody do it in a way you go, I'd never do that. That in my toolbox, that will not be in my toolbox. And,
Right.
And to the point where he would sign all these female artists, and then he would try to get these emotional things out of by being mean and nasty to him, and then he would finally throw up his hands and go, "That's it, I'm done with her. You know, you guys just work." And I'd say, "Great." And I said, "You go play pinball, and we're going to work on this, and we'll let you know when we're done." And they go, "Fine," and he would stump out. And so I calmed the singer down, and then we would start, and I'd come from a place of authenticity and support, and and be a fan, and you inspire, and we got a lot of great vocals. And I don't know if Mike intentionally wanted me to produce like that, but he was teaching me deliberately, or he just that was just the result of what I observed how he was. And so I produced a lot of vocals back then, and I'm still doing it now. And
it sounds like you like it, and that makes a big difference.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. When I agree to work with somebody, it's because I love their music and I love them. Because we've all worked with a bunch of people we'd never ever want to be around, but that was one of the things when I didn't make a record for 20 years. After I got well, I went into post-production. I just didn't want to have anything with the music business or any of that. It was, I was so disillusioned and heartbroken by how things had turned out, and so when I got back, when I wanted to make records again, I vowed I would only work with people I liked, on music that I believed in, and I got to record them the way I want to record them. And so, those are the stipulations that I have to have. And
welcome back.
And that way, I'm their biggest fan, and I'm the new member of the band, and we just have a wonderful time, and it all comes out well, Yeah,
so the difference, I don't really do your job. I do the job before you do your job.
Mm-hmm.
So that when the artists come in, they're already where you want them. And then, because we've worked as a team,
mm-hmm.
and their mindset and your mindset is already together. Everything is already flowing. Everything's already functioning. And then as you go to get the magic on the track, which is the whole point of being there, we've eliminated a lot of the things that you would have to get over while you're actually trying to make a record. And so the idea is pre-production. So I'm rarely in the studio myself. I don't think, I think a great vocal producer should take care of that himself, but they don't have the time, all of you, to work with singers every day, and that's all I do.
Yeah, wow.
And I respect what you guys do. I couldn't even imagine me trying to take on what you guys take on. But in my particular niche, I'm really like you. I love it, and I love the people, and I love the work. And so
I just marvel.
I've been really excited about being with Khaliq and everybody here to learn more and more from you. I've had some of my bad experiences in the studio too. You guys were talking about. I didn't get kicked out, but I walked out like I felt like I should have been.
Yeah, there were times, but now I know that I don't need to have those things happen, and they won't.
Yeah, that's cool.
I put up with before, I won't put up with now.
Yeah.
So
that's a good place.
Good.
Yeah, that's always a good place when you can kind of pick and choose. Like you said early on, you didn't have a choice, so it's good to finally get to that place where you can have a choice in the matter.
And the good thing is today is that there's not as many studios to get kicked out of.
Exactly.
So everybody was so busy doing the kicking, they're not working either.
Yeah.
So there is some justice in it,
Justice.
But Brad, one of your comments, you said, yeah, I do this. I don't do what you guys do, And one of the things is real cool when people can admit that you don't have to try and be the other guy. You know, I think the competition that arises in our business today, where you have everybody trying to be somebody else, or you're trying to be everybody in the room so you can pay yourself 3 times over. Highly unnecessary. Highly unnecessary. When a byproduct of hit music is the fact that it was a community of people that contributed. You know, well, not everything is going to be like it was. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say, oh, we all need to cut records in a large format. You know, Dave Grohl's doing a good job of proselytizing that. I think that you have to keep in mind the process that everything derived from was one of community. And keeping that in mind, that's kind of what Khaliq's doing here with getting everybody in a community. Because unlike then, when we could go to a large format studio and we could have a recording experience or be part of a project, it's not so central now. So now sometimes it's, you know, we can all contribute. Sometimes it might be like this. Somebody will be recording and then they'll come to the group with a question, and we're giving them answers, and they're evolving in their recording experience by using the answers we gave. You know? That's the new way that some people learn and have their experience. It's secondhand. So it's real good when we can delineate what everybody does and kind of say the unique individuals, as opposed to I can do it all and you just need to call me and I want it all for myself.
I only say that on my webpage.
Exactly.
Well,
You know,
one of the things that that used to happen about that doesn't happen now, like you're saying, Dave. So we have to come up with new ways. When the studios were around, it was a big creative vortex, and you would have one creative lot in one studio, and then down the hall another studio would be another record being created with a whole different style and different set of musicians, and down the hall again would be another one, and you'd pass in the hallway or you'd end up in the communal lobby talking to each other. I can't tell you how many times you'd pull one person from one session to come in and record on, you know, another project that you were working on, or they would just meet in the hallway and say, hey, let's write a song together, or let's do a record. I mean, you know, you'd get all sorts of great people on your record just because they were hanging out. And
and the fans loved that, too.
That's kind of hard to find these days. And also that's why a lot of people, a lot of engineers who built their big old home studios, they said, you know, and producers like Ed Cherney and Don Was and all those things, it's got lonely. And being home, all they saw was a courier dropping off the drive, you know, and now again, they don't even have that.
Part of that club that, you know, that's part of that club. You know, you can't aspire to be in a club that's elite only to find that technology is going to make you lonely. You'll be elite, but you'll be lonely.
Yeah,
and
so
inevitably, all these guys are getting into community now, right?
Right.
Wow.
So Ed pulled his
at the end of the day, you need other people. We all need other people. You know?
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that, because, you know, like one of the things that I've noticed is the music that's being produced by one person shows it to the buyers.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients who have a lot more respect for the singers of the 60s and the 70s than they do the singers of today.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole, you know, because it was art and it was well thought. I mean, I don't know if it was well thought through, but it was definitely well done and well communicated between everybody, and the creativity was just making things happen that can't happen in a one-man studio. I don't. Yeah. People send me stuff. I'm sorry.
Characteristically, singers from that era, they all had that one thing in common, where they knew who they were. They knew. Yeah. They knew their range. They knew songs that were them, songs that weren't. They kind of knew more about themselves.
Well, and also a good point about that too. Also, people by the time they got into the studio, it was expensive, so they had to prove that they were worth the investment of the record label or whoever was financing them, that there was going to be a revenue stream for several people coming out of this, and that they had what it took to be a success. You didn't just, hey, I can walk in here and make a record and I don't have to be very good, but I've got the technology, and that's a challenge right now that didn't exist back then. By the time they got into some place like the Village, where I was, or the record plant, or Capitol, or any of those places, the people who were working in those studios had proven that they deserved to be there, and they were worth the investment. And so there was already an integrity and a quality of talent that had been, already established. Boy,
I think it's coming back around. I mean, the thing is, we recognize it in different ways now. So we see it in how people reach out and even find that a Brad exists, and then that fact that he can say, "This is all I do. This is what I do," means that there are people who understand that they need that, right?
Yeah, there are.
That is an evolution of the marketplace where you have educated customers who are seeking out the knowledge at a level that they recognize, I don't have this in my arsenal, I need that, right? That's also a new shift in what's going on because of where we're at with all this stuff, with the technology, with the size of studios, with everything. We're going to see, I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see some ebb and flow as far as we're always going to have some traditional large formats that dominate, and they're going to continue to do the great records they do. They're going to continue to carry on that tradition. We're going to be real surprised from some of the things we see coming from some of the young people who've been watching us morph into whatever we are professionally, because they're taking notes on how to be, and they're arriving at their dreams far quicker than we ever did.
That's right. That's right. And we learned so much from them too. I'm heading over to a studio called the Mixing Room over at the W Hotel after I get off here, and my assistant engineer, I'm doing an all analog record right now at another studio, but I'm going to be mixing this vocalist, this song coming up, and I'm looking for a place to do it that's affordable, and it doesn't have to be analog or any of that. So I'm going and checking out this studio this afternoon, and it's completely, different than how we did it before, and it's how you can be very successful doing it now. I just want to make a good record, and that everybody can afford to make, and have a good time. And I think the bottom line is knowing how to make that good record and knowing how to use those tools to arrive at that goal. It's just not about the gear, but okay, if this is what I want to do, can I do it this way? And so that's what I'm going to go over there and find out, because I'm excited. It's, brand new studio.
That's cool. You still teaching over at the school?
Well, funny you would ask that question. I thought I'd throw this out there to you. You know how I said I dropped out of university to go to recording school? And it has never been an issue until last week, where they have to let me go because I don't have a degree.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Can't be in the union unless you got a gig. Can't get in the gig unless you're in the union, right?
Well, yeah. Any of these schools that are wanting to be accredited, the laws now are, and it was just this year, because they tried everything to try to keep me. I only teach those 2 classes. I teach music production and then post-production sound design. Right. So I only teach there once every couple months anyway, over at SAE, but I just got the word that they got to let me go because I don't have a degree.
What did you think of that after it's all said and done?
So I went to, you know about the Hollywood Sapphire group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the social group for engineers, and so that last Tuesday was their meeting. The first Tuesday of every month is where they have their meeting, and so there's all these other engineers and old people and young people and everybody, and so I came in and they said, oh, you teaching this week? I said, yeah, but it's going to end because, I don't have a degree. And I can't tell you how many people were in the same boat. Here are these great people who had created all of these things who were teaching them at different schools now are let go. And so it was kind of the joke of the night when somebody said, oh, I'm an educator. Everybody said, you got a degree? Because we learned how to engineer. You didn't need a degree. You couldn't get a degree. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
That's the way it was for me in singing and music and everything too. The only way to pick up an Eric Clapton lick was to get that piece of vinyl and keep going over that lick till you had it. If you tried to go to the university to get it, they just laugh at you.
That's not what they taught. So anyway, no, Dave. The answer to your question is no. I'm not.
Well, yeah, you are a teacher. You're going to be on Khaliq's thing. So now you're in the wonderful world of nonlinear education.
This is wonderful. Actually, they will have me be doing workshops and guest speaking and field trips and stuff like that. So we can put something like that together. They really wanted to keep me. They just legally couldn't.
Yeah.
That's
a whole nother thing.
It's crazy.
For pay education in this field. I mean, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah,
but,
we don't want to get into that.
I have strong feelings about the whole group because there's a lot of people now jumping on the hill, going, yeah, we got it right, we do it. But in the end, we're educating a lot of Pro Tools users, and we're not educating a whole lot of engineers, and that's the problem. And
they don't know why they're using it. They don't know how to use it and why they're using it, and it's. I try to teach that.
Yeah, I just encourage everybody to try and, if you're into this, get into it for your own reasons. Be proficient for your own enjoyment and for your own confidence, but try not to impede on anybody else's thing while you're learning this stuff, because it is still a very young time for all of this. This is not something that you could learn and get an award for being the fastest Pro Tools guy this year, okay? And in 2 to 3 years, that might not be the standard. We don't know that.
Yeah.
We don't know. Yeah. But what is going to be the standard is, having good business acumen, being able to be in the room like Lanice was talking about, being able to know who you are and define who you are like Brad was talking about. It's all these things that make you relevant. And it'll keep you relevant year after year after year, no matter what the genre, no matter what is going on, you'll be able to sustain yourself. And that's the bigger issue.
Yep. So guys, this is why I want to I'm doing this boot camp now to teach people these little things that nobody talks about, that they don't teach at the schools. This is what's important right now about how to go to that next level. I don't know, am I on right now, guys? Because
I'm looking at you.
You're on, I figured you were having trouble.
Yeah, something was tripping. Okay, but it's back now. One of the other things.
Looking in direction though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can switch to the other one now.
There you go. Hi.
Okay. There we go. So we got camera switching here, man. Yeah. Right. All right. So anyway, what I'm doing, and the reason why I'm doing this is to teach everybody that's going to attend the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp. When you attend this, you're going to learn all the little insider stuff. When Lanice first came on, I made sure that I asked her questions, and this is how I'm going to approach everybody. I ask questions that you won't normally find in the schools about, well, what's it like once you get in the room and you're with a psychotic client, for example. You've got to know how to respond and be cool and to guide the energy and make them feel comfortable and safe, even though you might not feel safe. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's a big deal. We're going to be covering a lot of things. You know, I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the desires, because we're all educators out here. What are some of the desires that you see students always mention to you that they just want to get out of something like this that's not being met? Lanice, you know, you especially run into this all the time. What would you say is the top desires that everybody says that they want to get that they can't seem to find out here?
Well, the top desire is they want to get a job right away.
A job right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And
well, now let's dig into that a little bit, because see, that's one of those things. Did you ever see any of those like they got the thing with Aladdin's lamp and the genie comes, they rub it, and the genie thinks, yeah, I'm gonna give you 3 wishes, but then they don't quite word the wish right. So you know, that's one of those things. Yeah, you can get a job easily. You know, they want to get a job right away. That means a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
well, they're so into the gear and all of that a lot of them don't know why they're using it, and that's the biggest challenge that I see. That isn't, well, depends on the school. I think certain schools that are more creatively, it's about the creativity. This is art. We're artists. Everybody's an artist, and these are just the tools that we paint with, and that has to be foremost. It's all about the song, and the emotion. That
I love you. You know what I love that you just said, though. I want to jump on it, because you said is we paint with the tools that we have. You know, as far as the equipment, everybody gets caught up in that, the plugins, the gear, and all that. But I'm sure if he had to, Rembrandt could paint with this. All he'd have to do is dip in. I'm sure he could come up with some masterpieces with just this. So it's the same thing with us, and the understanding that we bring to the table that we want to pass on to you guys is don't get caught up in all that stuff. You know, learn how to paint, learn what the colors are, sonic colors, and why. Learn what, if you've got tools and the best tools, that's great. But if you don't, and you get thrown in a room and you just got to make some stuff happen and come together, you know, you should be able to do it with no problem. If you had to do a session with an iPhone, you should be able to do it. You know,
that's right.
You know,
that's right. And vibe is so important. Oh my gosh, this is one thing that I'm really, really try to encourage the students about, because audio has become such a visual situation, and it's about what does it sound like, what does it sound like, and I try to tell them 2 of the most important things you need for a successful recording somebody is that headphone mix. If they love how they sound in the phones, they're going to perform a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
And having communication, if they're playing keyboards or drums or something, get that talkback mic. That talkback mic is just as important as that snare mic, because if they're trying to communicate and they can't, and they get frustrated and get cranky, you're going to hear it when they play.
Absolutely.
And, all those 2 things, communicating well and making them feel good about what they're hearing, it's an audio thing, and those drums, do not quantize those drums. You know, that if you do use a click track, that's a guide. I tell them the first, we were all, our very first thing that we responded to was beats, because it was the sound of our mother's heartbeat.
How about that?
First thing that we ever responded to, and it was a positive thing, and guess what? It wasn't quantized. It was what gave us comfort, and that's the same with a really good drummer boy or any drummer. Just feel the vibe. If they made a mistake, that's one thing, and you can fix that. But don't just line everything up, because they meant to lay back. They meant to push the tempo. It's bringing that energy into that song. Listen.
Well, yeah, I love your passion on that too, because I feel that. I mean, we were just talking about it yesterday. I was hanging out on Basie Bob Brockman's hangout with Mott and all the folks. and we talked about all the words that you said are so important. People are forgetting them. It's all about the feeling, the vibe, and everything. People are trying to make everything so perfectly quantized beat, quantized pitch, quantized everything. I mean, the travesty, the biggest recent travesty that I heard was somebody pitch shifting, auto tuning Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, give me a break. I mean, you know, who would do that? I mean, just, you know, who would do that? You know, I mean, that's when you really aren't thinking, listening at all, or anything about it. And we really have to.
I don't get it. That person did not get it. They did not get it. That was.
But check it out. I don't blame it on that person, because that had to be a whole chain of persons for that to fly. For that to end up being a final thing, it is out there now as a new Aretha Franklin project. So that's a whole chain of folks that let that go. So that just tells about a mentality it's tragic that even happened. You know.
Wow, I thought that was a joke.
No, that was real.
That was the real deal.
Did you hear it? I actually heard that's an album or something that they got.
Good. Oh, good, Matt. I'm glad that was a joke.
No, I thought it was. I was hoping it was a joke.
No, that was real. Somebody had it's terrible. Oh my God.
It really was real. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk so bad about that.
That would be a wonderful thing to have in the boot camp. Her original, that was so cool, and then that one where they fixed it and say, you know, put them up next to each other.
Well, that's what they actually did. They actually, somebody played a version. She did a live version. I forget what the song. I have to find it, but she did a live version of it in performance, and they played it right next to the one that ended up on the album being sold out here. And I mean, the live performance just so stomped it. You know, it was ridiculous. It was just like a complete drop. Like I said, we're talking about Aretha Franklin. You know, so come on, it doesn't get any higher than that. You know, you do not have to. I always keep getting back to, where's my little card? My card, it says, what is your why? You got to have a reason why you're doing. I can't even find it now.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you don't have a reason.
I don't get that one at all.
Yeah, that was just crazy,
well,
you know.
Guys, the singers are really fighting with it too, you know, because they all think they need to be perfect. They all think they need to be perfectly on pitch, perfectly on rhythm, perfect vowel shapes, you know, and that's why you guys get so frustrated with them, because how can they have any emotional quality to their voice when everything inside their brain is trying to convince you that they're a good singer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but somewhere this message is being conveyed of perfection.
I know.
That's the
it's all around us.
It's crazy.
Somewhere it inundated everybody's psyche that when you work on a record, oh, this is perfection. When you do this, is perfection. Yet we all know that we've been in the studios, and where are the moments on records? The moments are in the imperfections.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Imperfections are
you know,
the greatest dynamic.
That's you know, I worked with Steely Dan and their, you know, that Asia album and Gaucho. Both of those. You know, everybody, Steely Dan was so known for being perfectionists, and Donald and Walter, yeah, they are perfectionists in the sense that Donald would always say, I don't want it perfect, I just want it right.
Right, yeah. And it was always about how it felt, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what you need.
And even though it sounds perfect and all of that, it is perfect because it's right. It's not right because it's perfect.
Exactly. There you go.
Right. That's what he was saying. That was so much harder to, you know, for him to know when it was right.
That's the question, knowing when it's right, though.
Knowing when it's right. Yeah, I think nowadays a lot of people work from a place where they don't want to be wrong. People answer questions nowadays to not be wrong. They don't answer because they know. They answer to not be found wrong. You know what I mean? And it's kind of inundated the way everybody plays in the sandbox, so that there's a certain level of, I got to be the best, or I got to come off like this, extremely judgmental, always looking to have high ground. Everybody's always looking to come from this place of, I know more, I'm better, I know, you know, it don't matter. It don't matter.
There's no such thing.
gives you goosebumps and brings tears to your eyes, or gets you fired up, or something like that. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
it's
I
it.
thought I have.
I think I get
Right,
more
yeah.
fired up over the bullshit now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I
I
get
have
the
not.
same fired up with with the vocal world, thinking it's all about hey, let's get this perfect pitch and all this, and it's like no, that's wrong.
Yeah, well,
And
swing
it's a
it.
big battle.
Yep. So hey guys, what I want to do too, I'm gonna see if I can make it happen this time. I'm gonna try to play another. I played the clips, but it didn't have the audio before. I'm gonna see if this will go in to this thing. So let me switch over here, and you guys tell me if you can hear this. And can you guys hear anything?
No audio for me.
No audio? Yeah, I don't hear it either. Let me see if there's anything. Oh, I think I know what I gotta do. Hold on. Stand by.
And I still haven't met some of the people out there.
Oh, some of the people, other people that are on the Hangout?
Met Matt, but I see your name, and you were speaking when I enjoyed listening to you, giving really good advice to the young gentleman who's, I don't know if he's still here or not.
Dre the most. That's my protege.
Well,
Yeah.
I just love. Well, he's using a 414 and a Fairchild plug-in and the Pultec, and I'm going, whoa.
Right now, I go in and I figure something out. When I figure it out, I teach him. Then I move along, and he actually does it, so he can come back and tell me stuff about the stuff that I've taught him, and I move on and get into something else. The biggest thing for me right now is what Brad Chapman is talking about. I'm working with singers because we have this issue where we'll have like Dre makes beats, right? And we'll put vocalists on them, and all of a sudden it just sounds like crap. It's the performance sucks, the recording sucked, everything, the time, it's just horrible. We'd add vocals, and it would just go to crap. And so I wanted to stop that, so now we're training vocalists. Brad's helped us, Dave Hampton's helped us, just explaining stuff. Khaliq Glover, Dave Isaac, a bunch of people. Even when Bob, on the Hangout with Bob Brockman yesterday, I purposely asked just to make sure they gave us some of that wisdom that you guys got from back in the day so that we could start using it in present day stuff. And we're making sure it gets on a bunch of Hangouts. But anyway, when you came on, I was asking myself, okay, I know her. Where's she from? And it's SAE, because I go to SAE, the stuff at SAE all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where I know you from.
Okay, great, because I knew I recognized you too, and I was going, where was that? Well, good to see you. Good to see you.
Too. But I couldn't place it at first, but yeah, now I know. Brad, you need to start coming to SAE too.
Well,
Yeah, I will. You invited me at a bad
you have
time.
a
I was
degree?
debilitated.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Are you going to start doing interactive stuff like this a lot more since they did that?
Well, I do a lot of these for a lot of. I'm a guest speaker. I was just at Kent State last week, and Skyping, and Massachusetts State University the week before, doing that. But what I will be doing, and what they want me to do at SAE, since they can't allow me to teach, is setting up special workshops like this. Dave Hampton used to be a guest in my class, and now it'll be like an extra thing on either a Friday or a Saturday. I can put together any kind of workshops or panel discussions or anything like this. So actually, I'm kind of excited because I'm not limited to just those classes. We can handle any subject that I feel should be presented and that they, go along with.
Shoot, you can do like Amistad now. Say, give us free. You're free now. Give us free.
Yeah, and so no, but it's really good. I'm kind of relieved a little bit.
We have
Yeah.
we have a Facebook group filled with well, just all types of people. We all, you know, engineers, whatever, even mastering engineers. Like there's this one guy named Ian who wears earplugs sometimes when he comes on and has and like and like Angela down here. And what I do is I get with people who've done, you know, all this work different than what we do now. Like what you were talking about, Steely Dan. I'd love to have you as a guest on one of the hangouts. I grab people like you, we bring people in, and they ask you questions, and we just cycle them through, and you just give an honest account, whatever it is you want to say. And I don't think that I've had a female guest yet, featured guest yet. Angela, have I had a lady as a? I don't think I have. I would love to have you as my first guest who's not a man. That would be awesome.
Thank you. I'd be delighted. And
About time, man. About time. I was starting to wonder what's up.
Oh, I'm not one of the dudes who, hey, it's a man's club. Oh, no, not me. But it would be an honor to have you.
At NAB, did any of you go to NAB? And then at AES, they had this too. At Audio Technica, at their booth, they had that Ask Me Anything. I was at NAB for the Ask Me Anything, and that was very cool. Just like you talked about, most people ask me Steely Dan questions. You know, it was funny.
There's stuff like that, but then your whole perspective, like some of the crap you've had to put up with, like on all the singers and like whenever we bring somebody in, like we'd have we had this young lady named Anna Rams, and I would make sure, even though she's a singer, I wanted to empower her, so I would make sure she'd learn how to engineer. It's like, you're forced. You have no choice. I know what's good for you. You're going to engineer. But she doesn't see engineers. And, you know, to get, like, as I'm doing these hangouts, she doesn't get to see many engineers who are women. And so when we're doing these hangouts, my whole thing has been to get with people like you where they'd have access to you. And this would be awesome to have you as a guest where I'd be able to bring people in and they'd have access to you. And I don't know. I just think it would be great.
What I would like to add to that as well is that you know, that guys are welcome too, because I can show, you know, drum miking techniques that I learned, you know.
From what I saw at AES, you could do everything.
Like that isn't gender related.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. Is for people to have access to you, and any ignorance or anything would get squashed immediately. So that's the whole. Yeah. You know. And
I'm happy to show people anything, because it's, you know, how did we mic this? How did we mic this? How did I do this? How did I get that? I'm the first person to show them exactly what I did, if I remember, because they're never going to make it sound like I did.
Absolutely. That's the
thing. Drums, different musician, different equipment, different whatever. So, sure, I'll show you anything you want.
I love that you said that, because that's a lot of the fear that used to exist when we were coming up is definitely a big deal. People used to be afraid to teach people and show people stuff and all that back in the day. I remember people hiding their settings.
That's crazy.
And
they put tape over their EQ. Console. Because that's not gonna. There's so many variables. You know, everything has to be exactly in the same place, including the barometric pressure.
How about that? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. It's just no reason to trip like that. And plus, you know, nobody's going to hear it the way, and nobody's going to, more importantly, the reasoning why you did the stuff in the order you did it and everything comes from the shape of your own head, how your ears are, and little things like that that nobody else in the world can possibly have. So there's nothing to fear on that, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, you know.
Sure, I'd be happy. You know, I would love to get in a studio situation. Let's, you know, one of the biggest things that people don't have the opportunity to do these days is learn how to track a band. You know, bass, drums, guitar, you know, rhythm, guitar, keyboards, work vocal, whatever it is, people all playing in the same room together, or how do you isolate things? How do you you know, get that vibe of a band playing. You know, capturing that. There aren't that many opportunities for people to do that. And I've done that at Grammy Camp, and that's what I do at the class I used to teach, music production. The music production class I taught was how to record a band and how a producer works with the artist or the band in the studio to get things done. And it's, once again, it's not about the technology. It's about the communication, that headphone mix, that making sure everything's running smoothly so that artist can create and that band can play together, and so the students or people can go, oh, wow. They can feel the difference between take to take to take. Maybe one will be technically more correct, but the other one had that vibe where everybody went, whoa, that was it. You know, when they all played together, they just fed off each other. And I think that's a really important thing, that in these smaller studios that everybody has, they just assume you do one thing at a time. And to experience that joy of, you know, musicians playing together and just going, whoa, whoa, that was, oh my God, that was it. Let's go play it back.
Well, Khaliq, you're the one who sets up seminars. That's something we should do. She's right.
Yeah,
How do
absolutely.
we go about setting it up so we bring people in and we get that done? You know, something like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it really would. We should definitely just make it a plan, put our heads together, and make it happen, because it can happen. Ain't nobody else did it, so why not us?
And there are plenty of studios that support that. Plenty of studios that would give, like on a weekend, maybe donate, or at a very reasonable. Because what that's doing is exposing people to using that room as a place to track a band.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So they benefit from that. I know that there are people out there who would be very happy to help us out with that.
Yeah, we definitely should put our heads together on that, you know.
I'm in. I'm already in.
Cool.
If we're going to do something like that, I'm in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. Hey, and guys, I want to welcome. We got Ian Shepherd on here, and we also and so you're not alone. We have Angela Lewis on here for you, Lenise.
Hey,
yeah. So.
Hey, Ian. Hello. And, well, there's somebody else there I don't know too.
Who else came on? We got David on here. David's been on here for a while. You met Joseph, and
No, we didn't meet, but it's nice hearing your voice. It's nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, you're a long way from Detroit.
Yeah.
Although I'd come over and say hi.
Well,
not as far from Detroit as me. Is my mic working?
Yes,
it is.
There you are. Hi.
Yeah. What's up, Ian? What time is it over there in the UK?
It's to midnight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're a night owl. Musician hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dad hours, actually.
Dad hours, I got you. Oh, the kids ain't sleep?
Family's asleep, so now I get to come and play on the internet.
I get you.
And do some work, clearly.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, Ian's going to be another one of our trainers on the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp in December 7th, for those of you that are just joining us. And Ian, he's, you know, a lot of you probably already know, but if you're brand new, he has one of the best websites out there. I was so impressed with the information that he provides. He always shows some great things. He's a mastering engineer, so he provides some great information towards that, but also just in general for production, you know, production advice, because putting the elements together is a big thing, you know, and then finally glossing it to, you know, and polishing it at the very end is it comes together much better and much more cohesive if you understand what leads up to it. So he kind of gives you the whole soup to nuts scenario of doing that.
If anybody wants to,
thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the plug. If anybody wants to hear the Aretha Franklin sacrilege, I did a blog post on it. The URL is productionadvice.co.uk/Aretha-autotune, or if you just go to productionadvice.co.uk and scroll down a bit, it's still there. And that you can hear there's one of the songs on there, and then there's her performing it live on, oh, maybe it was the Letterman show or one of the shows in the US. And I mean, okay, she's in her 70s now, so her voice is not what it once was, but she can still sing live, she can still perform, and you can hear it on the TV show. And then you hear what they did to her, and it's not just, I mean, the auto-tune is one thing, but they compiled, you can obviously hear that they've compiled multiple vocal takes to make up the performance, and everybody does that. Everybody understands that that's part of the production process. But at one point, you can actually hear the vocal lines overlap. So you can hear her start a new phrase over the end of the last note of the previous phrase, and it's like, I mean, my wife came in and I said, "What do you think of this?" She's musical, but she's not kind of a nerd like me. And I just said, "What do you think of this?" and played her the album version and then the live version. She said, "Well, I like the live version because it just sounds natural and it sounds emotional and real." And whereas the album just, they've made her sound like, she sounds like she's constantly trying to keep up.
Sounds like karaoke. It doesn't even sound like
exactly.
terrible.
So many people have said it sounds like karaoke. That's exactly right.
And now the song was "Rolling in the Deep," right?
That was the one that I put on the blog, yeah. But if you listen to the album, there's a couple on there that are slightly more old school productions that kind of, but I mean, it sounds like karaoke in terms of they've got some big names in the production team, but it sounds like it was produced on a shoestring. It just sounds like, I don't even think they sound like real drums. It doesn't sound like real strings to me. It just sounds like, I mean, it sounds slightly better than somebody downloading a MIDI file.
It sounds like crap. It sounds like they threw it together at the last minute overnight. Like, hey, let's put together a Aretha Franklin album tonight. It's ridiculous.
But you know what? Here's something interesting about that, though. I think that they probably would have been better if they did throw it together overnight. Well, those of you that are older like us, remember that's how it was done. We've all done probably whole albums in a matter of hours and everything, and tracking dates, where we've done. So if you've got the right folks that know what they're listening to and know when to get out the way, somebody like Aretha Franklin, I could see even if they had limited budget and limited time, they should have got out the way. They made that into a production process as opposed to actually listening to what was going on and what needed to happen. That's just my opinion. I wasn't there, but I really suspect that that's what happened because you just get out the way. She couldn't have been that bad, obviously from listening to the live performance. Like Ewan said, she does not sound the same as she did when she was in her 20s or whatever. That's okay, but the bottom line is she still sounds great, even better than most people sound in her age now compared to a lot of people that are just coming out singing. They couldn't have had to do that much. Hearing all that overlapping, hearing the main thing that got me was it was even more egregious was the overuse of the quantization, how hard it was. I mean, let it, if you got to put it on and maybe help her out a little bit just because her voice is in a different place, I could maybe understand that if that would have helped the production process. They went to the auto-tune.
Yeah, I mean, we've all used it for, you have a great take, a couple of notes that are quite slightly off. And rather than in that take, you just help those two notes. I mean, I prefer to tune by hand. I prefer to go in and say, okay, that note was, and you experiment till you find the pitch for it.
One or two phrases,
but you can hear it's just on the whole thing. So every phrase she starts, you can hear that little. Actually, I wrote in the blog post it was auto-tuned. People who maybe know better than me say that it sounds more like Melodyne. But I mean, it's the same deal. It's the same.
I tend to think it was done on purpose, and the reason why is that you got another generation of people who believe that these tools that are in place now are absolutes. And so when you have something phenomenal like an Aretha Franklin that you can't explain, right? If you're not from there or haven't experienced it, to somebody new, they don't know what's the big thing about this old lady. What's she gonna sing, right? And they don't know the history. They don't know how hard it is to deliver like that, let alone at that age, right?
Well, yeah, and they also think they're gonna bring her up to the new millennium, and we'll show you how. We'll make her sound.
We're gonna fix her.
That's wrong.
Like they did, So I tend to think it was done on purpose as a part of their own shameless self-promotion to prove that great singers aren't really that great without this stuff.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you on that too, because that's exactly my point is they weren't really listening to what was really there. You know, they did it on purpose because they that was what they thought was the purpose. You know, the purpose is I'm gonna make Aretha Franklin better. I'm gonna make her new and all that. It wasn't nothing wrong with the old. If it wasn't broke, you can't fix it. I mean, and if it was almost perfection, you can't do nothing but taint perfection. You know, so they definitely did it, but.
Khaliq, it doesn't even sound modern to me. That doesn't sound modern.
Well, I know. Well, that's the thing. Is even if that was their intent, they did not achieve. I mean, and I'm not bashing anybody. They do what they want. See, the other thing, like Dave was saying, you know, we know this is a different business out here too. So we know that people have jobs as tuners. So that's another way to use up budget and justify budget and things. I mean, I don't know what the scenario is. All I know is.
The tuner failed. It was an epic fail. They did garbage. Whatever their excuse, they screwed up. If it's Clive Davis, if this hurts money for him in the future, oh well. Clive Davis, if you're behind that, that is an epic fail.
Clive would never be behind that. No, that definitely.
No, Clive was on the team.
I say Clive Davis because when that was coming out,
his name is on it. He may not have even heard it other than to just his.
When that was coming out, it was the Grammy Museum in L.A. They were presenting that stuff, is what my memory is.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Clive Davis was presenting that.
Things have changed.
I'm hoping the wrong files got put out. There is no way.
That never would have happened back in the day. That never would have happened back in the day. It would have been totally unacceptable.
When I heard those edits, I thought I was making a mistake. I went back and listened again, and it's as if somebody new edited that. There is no excuse for what I heard. There's none.
That's craziness. That's crazy. Who thought that? Well, some people think that they have to fiddle with stuff to justify their reason for being there, and part of being a good engineer, producer, whatever, is knowing when to just leave it alone. It's fine, and a lot of people don't know that's okay.
Some people enjoy the role of digital villain today, right? Some people enjoy the role of being the shit star, right? You know, some people enjoy the role of being the as Khaliq so aptly put it, the contrarian. You know, it's at every level where people like to be the upstart, and so they've taken on this new position where they actually put more into being disruptive, not realizing something like that just kind of shows how crazy it is. Because if you've had the fortune to work with somebody like an Aretha, the first part of it is to sit back and watch and actually see what a living person can do who actually has vocal technique, regardless of the age. And you'll be quite shocked, and you will not be thinking of what device I can use.
I wonder if that's one of the problems. It sounds to me like there are pre-produced backing tracks that have been used on that album, and she's been asked to come along and sing to them. And that's a really different thing than putting her in front of a really great band, which is what happened on TV, and just asking her to do a performance, you know?
I believe that's true, too, yeah.
And I can well believe that would impair her ability to give the performance that she would normally give and that she would want to give, and that then there would be this kind of feeling that maybe that needs to be fixed in some way. And that's what I imagine must have happened in that kind of, you know, process. Yeah. But I mean, that's, you know, I mean, Khaliq was saying about, you know, recording. Absolutely, you can record albums in 2 to 3 days. You know, I've done it myself, but it's all about people being absolutely rehearsed and or you know, so professional that they can just do it in their sleep. You know, and that it's so you kind of combine the lack of preparation time with the having a preconceived idea of how something should be done, doing it on a budget, doing it to a fixed time schedule.
The backing tracks thing is a very good analogy, because today backing tracks are used as a form of time saver, right? Yeah. Backing tracks are used because of economics. Backing tracks are used for various and sundry reasons, but backing tracks are not the real delivery of an orchestra or a band behind you on a live TV show or whatever it might be.
Backing tracks don't respond, do they, to a live performance? A band they listen to the vocalist, and there's some give and take in the performance.
You know how to play around the vocalist.
Phrase out a bit. Yeah, exactly.
We should find out the backstory on this. I think we all deserve an answer here, and I would love to find out the backstory of.
Let's go storm Clyde's office.
Yeah.
Let's go bust down Clyde's door and just say, "Yo, man, what's up?
What's that all
Banners,
about? What happened?
Why you messing with Aretha?"
I'll do it.
Well, you know what's interesting to me too, because it's like times have just really changed too, because Aretha's a legend too, so she probably had to sign off on that as well. And at some point, you know, say when you're younger and earlier in your career, you would never sign off on some things that maybe later on it's just like, okay, y'all go ahead and take care of it. Okay, take a quick cursory listen. Okay, cool, fine, I'm done. She had to have signed off on it or something. I would think.
That's the part that
Doesn't
makes it
sound
hard to
like
believe, because all the other parameters around Aretha showing up doing something are so tight that it's hard to believe that she would sign off on that.
But I can imagine. I can imagine a situation where they're saying to her, "This is how it's done these days." Everybody,
how it's done, yeah. And she's deferring to the
sound current, to sound modern, you know, because I mean she's covering contemporary, or some of the covers on there are contemporary. You know, it's like Adele and, you know, a bunch of other artists. So yeah, I can imagine her, you know, kind of allowing the production team who should have that expertise. And as Matt says, they just got it wrong.
Yeah, they got it wrong. And the thing is that's when you start. And when you start second guessing yourself after all the decades of experience and all the hits that she had, for her to even second guess herself, because there's some things I really think you just got to say, listen, you know, okay, that might be how they're doing it, but here's how I do it. And I know there's nothing wrong with what I do, so y'all figure it out, you know, because that was just it's so bad, you know. I just can't see that she would be okay with that, you know. That bugs me to even think that somebody will put it up and say, hey, defer to us because we know better now.
Watch when the Aretha movie comes out. We're going to see in the movie somebody saying, oh, yeah, I'll destroy your career. And then they go and do this. Then we'll find out the truth behind this mess.
We'll never sing again.
Yeah, right. Oh my God!
I'm telling you, it's some little guy who's that's his marketing technique. He's gonna go to everybody and say, "See what I was able to do with Aretha."
Who's gonna
they better not use that one. That's for sure.
Who's gonna play the villain? Who's going to play the auto-tune villain?
Snidely Whiplash.
Oh, God. You know, you guys, I got to get going here.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up, too, in a bit. I wanted to just thank everybody getting on here. You know, I apologize for some of the technical issues, still having a few things. But this was good. This is why I wanted to do this as a pre-training to kind of push the envelope and test what can be done. I'm seeing my computer bogged down on some of this stuff and got a lot going on now. So I'm going to work on alternative ways of making this happen so that it's a much smoother experience when we do the actual event. But December 7th is the music mixing success boot camp, virtual boot camp this year. We're going to have a lot of these same people that are on with us today presenting and teaching you some stuff, some additional people, other engineers that couldn't be on here today. I didn't mention it previously, too. We've got Joe Gilder coming on from Home Studio Corner, and we've got Graham Cochran as well, because they've been good friends over the years, too, and great information. I think they're great resources, so I wanted to have them on here as well. And then we told you we got Basie Bob and a few other engineers that are award-winning coming on as well, other producers and everything. So you're going to get a broad look in a lot of different areas. We're going to cover a lot of other things. So anyway, folks, Lanice, I want to talk with you a little bit further, and we'll hone down some specific things for you. But You did excellent today. You really did. You did amazing already
Oh,
just
thanks,
coming on.
guys. Well, you guys were wonderful too. You know, last week I didn't even chime in. I just sat and listened to you guys the whole time, and it was just wonderful. I enjoyed it so much.
Well,
And thanks to everybody. And it was really nice meeting you guys and seeing familiar faces. And I look forward to this. This is a blast.
yeah, well, we got to keep you and get you on here a lot more often then, you know.
Got it. You got it. All right. Thanks, guys.
Well, you take care. All right, we'll see you later.
Take care,
All right.
Lenise.
How to hang up.
All right. Now, before we end it up, I want to go over to Angela. We got you on here.
Oh,
And-
Angela. Hi, girlfriend.
Hey.
We'll talk more.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
bye-bye.
You hang up. There's a.
Oh,
She got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna cover is just gonna be okay. I was having a hard time narrowing it down. I really couldn't choose between whether I was going to talk about songwriting or professionalism. So because of the time constraints, I'm just going to do professionalism within the music business, and I'm going to touch on some social media effective hashtags usage, how to just get the best best bang out of your 160 characters, I guess, for Twitter and Instagram. Well, Instagram, I don't think you have a limit, but definitely on Twitter. And then like your networking do's and don'ts. And then I'm going to go into just some recommended reading and web resources that I use, and then some of my favorite freebies. So that's going to be pretty much where I'm going to try to narrow my focus on the professionalism and things inside of the music business part of it.
Cool. I'm glad. Okay, well, we're looking forward to it and having you on, Angela, you and Lenise. That's a great perspective, because like we got the boys club here and we can't have that, So
Gotta break things up a little bit.
Gotta break it up. Everybody benefits when we do that. Be inclusive,
Yes, sir.
Yep. So, hey, and David, you've been on here the whole time, man. You want to say anything? I see you in here, and if you want to yell at everybody and just say a little something, feel free, man.
Can you guys hear me okay? I've been having problems with my mic.
Oh, yeah, we got you now. We can hear you.
Is it loud? Is it noise? It was noise yesterday, I believe. I don't know.
Yeah, you're fine. I think you're fine.
I'm loving what's going on, This is trying to soak it all in, learn as much as I can, put it to practical use, make some changes if I need to make changes, I'm excited about this. I got some energy for this. I had the notepad out, and I haven't even made any notes yet.
Well, it's funny. We ended up having so many. I was going to go through our cheat sheets and all that, and we had so many little technical things that we had to solve to just get on here that I kind of got off topic. So what I think I'm probably going to end up doing is doing another one, and leading up to, because we got a long time. We got a little less than a month. We got a long time, so I'll probably do a few other pre-trainings to bring you in and walk you guys through some of the cheat sheets, walk you through some of the other things that we have available. I played the video of the event here, but the thing is that we weren't getting the audio, and I can't figure out why, because I'm hearing it here, but I gotta solve why isn't it going into the Hangout. This is exactly why I did the this pre-training today, to kind of test it and push the envelope. So I'll have some more of that stuff done, and we'll do another one so we can go through all that. That sheet that I gave you guys, the one about processing and everything, I want you to go to know when and where and how to process. I had a companion video that I uploaded to go with it. Check that out, and then just kind of use the process and use it to think about when you approach some stuff. It was for vocals, but you can use it for pretty much anything, the whole process, and come up with your own. Yes.
On that video, I watched that. Props to you, bro. On that video for the vocals, props to you on that. That was very clear, concise, and there was just a ton of information. It was just boom, 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 boom. Props to you on that video.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate that. That's one of the things that I'll definitely want to dig in more when we do the boot camp is to really dig deep. You know, I wanted to give you guys something free. Like I said, when you leave off of here today, this kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to cover in general from a lot of different areas. But there's going to be some areas, some things that I'm going to be able to go in and go real deep. So that video and the cheat sheets and all that stuff kind of give you an idea, and they're just scratching the surface. We're going to go really in because that's going to be, today we're only on for a few hours. That day I'm going for the marathon again, so we're doing a whole 12 hours.
Khaliq, can I ask you about that video?
Yeah.
Is that playing in your computer or is that on another device?
You talking about how I recorded it?
Yes, the video that you were showing us, because I was thinking if it was on another device, you could just play it and your mic would pick it up.
Yeah. It's on my other computer, and you know, I want the audio to be good. So yeah, I know I could do it that way. I started to, but I want to solve all these little problems so that when I play it, the audio's pristine, the video's going. You know, I'm pushing my bandwidth right now, so I see things are a little jerky, and I need to be sure that the audio comes through even if the video gets a little jerky. The more people we get in here, the more it's stressing the system, you know. I'm looking at my resources meter on here, and it's like at 85, 95, 98, 100, back down to 98. So I'm pushing it.
Come on, just low pass it. We'll be good.
I wish I could for video. So cool. Yeah, but we got a lot of stuff, man. Thank you guys. I'm glad you found that useful. I got a lot more stuff that's going to come in and be really helpful. But this is why, because I couldn't get to it all today, and we've got so many people, and some people's schedules changed so they couldn't get in and everything. So we're going to do another one. I think that will be fair, and it'll definitely hype you up. So do me a favor, guys, and like for this one, if you enjoyed it, do me a favor and just like comment on what you got out of it, and if you're excited about being able to attend the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp coming up on December 7th. I keep letting you guys know because I know it's a way away. Put it on your calendar and you know, get on the notification list, musicmixingsuccess.com. I haven't put up the website yet because Lord knows I got enough of this other stuff. I can't do everything, so I'm still working on it. I apologize, I'm behind, but one day I'll get a team. In fact, if you're webmasters out there, you're real good at stuff like that I'm struggling with that you play at, and you're like, Khaliq, I want to be on your team. Hit me up. I would love to hear from you because every time I get somebody, I'm hired a lot of people and everything, I end up having to let them go because they don't get our business, our music business. I want stuff to be right and look right and feel right. So to find a team, I know I'm going to have to probably find it among you. If you play at this stuff and it's just real easy for you, contact me. I would love to hear from you. Let's work out something where we can work together as I build a team. So anyway, anybody else have any final questions or anything that they want to know about the boot camp or anything coming up? Ian, by the way, you're going to be on, right? And would you rather come in?
No, that's cool. I just unmuted myself. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Okay, cool. You want to do it live as opposed to a video, right?
I don't mind. Whatever's most helpful for you. You know, I guess if I'm doing it live, then you're not going to get the same kind of quality. If I'm doing any demonstrations, I don't know whether you'll get, if I do something pre-recorded, whether you'll get better quality out of that for your audience, because this would be. Are you doing it via Google? Are you?
I'm actually going to try a hybrid. Like right now, and I'm just doing it. You guys can't see it. I have this Hangout, but I'm also streaming it to a CDN server so that I can see how it handles all of that at the same time. Now, a streaming server is going to have better quality, but I don't know if all my gear can handle the strain. You know, it's a lot of video processing power on my CPU. So I'll figure it out. We'll kind of test it. What we may do is maybe have you come in and comment, and I play a video of something.
I was going to say maybe I do you a pre-recorded demonstration on something that's going to be valuable for people, and then come in and do a live Q&A afterwards. That
yeah, absolutely. So we'll suss it all out. I think that might be a good way to go, and not strain the system too much, you know. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay.
Khaliq,
Cool.
you can always set up a second computer. I mean, you can have my laptop.
Hey, bro, I've got my MacBook Pro here. I've got a Windows machine here. I've got my iPad here, and I've got my Mac Pro here.
Are you still struggling?
Yeah, but well, see, it's not the computers, it's the network. See, this is a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. Plus, all y'all's video streams are coming down the pipeline at the same time. So that's what's the strain, you know. Yeah,
Okay,
when I'm on here by myself, ain't no problem. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But so the more people we get in, and the more stuff is struggling to keep up.
You need a T1 line.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get, because I've got 15 megabits per second upstream right now. I upgraded. That should be fine in most instances, but it's still struggling with some of the other stuff that I got in here.
So,
Yeah.
Khaliq, you know how, do you have any idea how you want to kind of usurp me into this project?
To be honest, not 100% sure yet, Brad, because what I have to do is I'm putting together the full curriculum of how the time is going to go and flow. So I have to see who needs to go at what section to keep the energy flowing, you know, because it's going to be a long day, 12-hour day. So I'm going to start out the basic training, then bring in somebody that'll hit a whole nother area that I didn't hit, but still keep people up and interested, do a couple other things. You might come in early in the process, or I might have you come in later on, you know, it might be after lunch, might be after dinner or whatever. So I'm not sure yet. I'm still finding the choreography of this.
Okay, that's, I mean, it's I've done, you know, this kind of thing before, but it's never been where the main center of attention was the producing and the mixing.
Yeah. So we'll suss that out and get you put into a good slot. Everything is going to be about enhancing the final process, because this is the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp. But like I always tell everybody, the key word is the success in that. So I'm going to put you in the place to make people have success in their process, so that when it gets out there, they have a better chance of everything being right. So I'll figure out a way to put you in where it ties into the whole production process.
Hey, Khaliq, if he needs like a volunteer for demonstration, I can do that. You know, like to show like the pre-production, like what we would do in order to pre-produce, in order for them to get a good vocal tape in the beginning.
Oh, so, okay, wonderful.
That's what you know. Just let me know, Brad, if you want me to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angela. You're always so helpful, and everybody else. We're all going to be just kind of working it together to work this out. This is you know, it takes a lot of bandwidth to do this, and a lot of moving parts. You know, so I'm going over here trying to, you know, work this other computer to play videos, getting over here to reach. I got like graphics set up and all this, so it's going to be slick when I get it done. And when you see like on like this video that I played earlier, you know, we had lower thirds popping up and all this. I'm setting all this stuff up, but you know, when I did it at the boot camp, I had somebody else doing the operating, so all I had to do was teach. But now I've kind of got to multitask and do all this little stuff and within the situation. So this is practice for me as well. So I'll be calling on different folks at different times. Hey, help me try this and test this, and you know, I appreciate you on that.
I have a question for Ian, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Ian, I'm going to also do videos.
Okay.
For the presentation, and so far, I really don't know, you know, when it comes to videoing and trying to get my external video into my computer and do a screen share at the same time, like the picture-in-picture. I haven't figured all that out yet. My main question to you is when you're encoding your video for online, is it the 264?
H.264.
Yeah, H.264 format.
It depends. I use. Are you a Mac or PC?
PC.
Okay, I'm a Mac. So I use a piece of software called ScreenFlow, And the nice thing is that if you choose to, for example, upload it to YouTube, it has presets built in. If I'm encoding it for products that I sell for people to download from my website, then I actually do it. It's a QuickTime movie, and yeah, I think it's H.264. It could be. There's another format, and I've forgotten the acronym. I've gone blank on it.
So in
the one that comes out, it comes out with the .M4V.
Yeah. Well, all
MOV,
of those are just
right.
That's MP4, right? I think they're all variations of the same stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But then I do it at a higher kind of bit rate and bandwidth. So in terms of what I'll do for this, I'll give Khaliq whatever he asks me for. But probably I'll give him a good high quality file, and then it will get encoded at his end in terms of the actual broadcast. So providing you're getting good quality capture, I don't think you need to worry too much. I guess the bigger the file it is, the harder it's going to be, the longer it's going to take to get to him. I don't know how your bandwidth is at your end.
I tried to email him a file, and it said that it was too big. It wouldn't allow me to do that.
Yeah,
well, what we're going to have to do is set you up a Dropbox or something. That won't be an issue,
Okay.
Yeah, that's not an issue. Cool. We'll get to that. We got all the moving parts. The main thing, Joseph, as far as like your presentation too, since it's graphics and stuff like that, we can shrink it down. I'll probably use a program called Handbrake, and I can shrink the files down. And I'll probably get you to deliver it to me as a .mov file, because that's uncompressed, and then I can compress it on my end so that it'll stream faster.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
No problem, guys. So, I think we can wrap it up here today. It was very good. Guys, everybody, please, if you are interested in attending the Music Mixing Success Bootcamp, just get on the notify list. I was going to have set up something special for you today, and I just wasn't able to, ran out of time. But if you're on that list, everybody that shows up on that list, I know I have it segregated where I can tell, segmented where I can tell that you guys got on that specific list, that you're interested in this boot camp. Get on there. You want to get on there now, because what I'm going to do is have some stuff that the general public is not going to get. Have some bonuses that the general public is not going to get. Have some ways for you to get access that the general public won't get, so you're going to save a lot. You're really actually going to be surprised for everything that you're getting in there, what I'm going to do specifically for the fast action. But if you don't get on there and you wait to the last minute and decide that you want to get on later on, you're probably going to be out of luck. I'm saying, man, I wish I would have did it. So just get your name on that list. Once you're on that list, you are grandfathered in, so anything that I do, you're going to automatically get it. Go to musicmixingsuccess.com and put your name and email on that list so that you get on there. Or if you didn't get a chance to download those resources we were talking about, you can go to musicmixingsuccess.com/2014/resources. And if you go there, you will get those resources. I got it as a video and everything. I was talking about it, and some PDFs and stuff like that that you can use. We're actually going to use some of that stuff as a reference when I do the next one. Or you can simply, if you're in the U.S., I don't know how well it works overseas, but if you're in the U.S., you can also send a text message via your phone. So even if you're not around the computer, just take your phone and send a text message. Text MMSB. That stands for Music Mixing Success Bootcamp. So text MMSB to the phone number, area code 818-330-6400. That's 818-330-6400. Just text MMSB to that number, and you'll go through the whole process. It'll give you the email link to be able to get to that stuff, and then you can download it.
Say the number one more time.
Area code 818-330-6400. And the letters MMSB.
I had to put that in the other chat.
Okay, cool, perfect.
For the the other thing that's going on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I wanted to enter that in there.
I appreciate that, man. And please, guys, share this video. The replay will be up on YouTube. tell any folks about it that you think should attend, that they'll get it, because you'll be doing your friends a favor, you'll be doing me a favor. I just want as many people as I can to see this and see our message and spread our message. You know, tweet about it, you know, like it, share it on Facebook, whatever you got to do. It's going to be really worth your while. I love it, and I want to keep this process going. We make this happen, and I want to actually do this several times a year, because if we get this virtual thing really down and get a flow going with it, this is going to be so much more valuable than even these Hangouts are very valuable, but I want to take it to that next level now. Okay, so anyway, everybody, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I appreciate y'all coming on here, and thank you so much. Everybody have a great time, and catch y'all later.
Thanks, Khaliq.
All right now.
Thank you,
See you guys.
Y'all later.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.